Welcome to Hurrdat Sports Live.
Attempting to stave off elimination tonight. Here's Stan Colvin. Stan Colvin in with a shot. Score! The Hurricanes take their first lead of the series.
Right center turns inside the line, trying to get away from Blackwell. Swept Blackwell away. Here comes the shot. Victor scores!
Towns into Turner, and across the lane with the spin.
Good move there by the big cat.
You have numbers if you want it with McConnell on the backside. From behind, what a pass. Towns into the cutting right. A 20-point fourth quarter for All-Star Karl Anthony Towns of the Knicks.
DiVincenzo, plenty of time. That's a break. 1 point game. DiVincenzo tries again. Puts it in. Tie game. Williams has one that he likes, and off we go with Ohtani blasting the ball. Way gone. 1 pitch, 1 swing, 1 run. Swinging a drive. That one sucked out there deep, way back. That ball's gone. It's a 3-run homer. Ravi crushes 1.
Here we go. Three balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. Dice has the sign. He collects the 3-2 pitch. Strike 3 called. Casey Dice finishes it for Nebraska. The dog pile is on. The Nebraska Cornhuskers have run the table and run it back. Back-to-back Big Ten tournament champions.
Good morning. Welcome into Hurrdat Sports Live, presented by Centrist Federal Credit Union. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla here at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill. What's up, DB?
Hi, how we doing?
Oh, we're doing good.
Oh, we're doing good.
We're doing well. Is that
Whoa,
better?
wait.
We're doing well.
Is that okay?
I think that's what you're supposed to say.
Doing well.
I'm doing well.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I don't know. That sounds a little.
I always got upset when the people would be like, "You're doing good. Do you mean well?" Like all those people. Man, I don't care.
Kids is not here for that.
It's like the teacher in elementary school where you're like, "Hey, can I go to the bathroom?" They're like, "I don't know. Can you?" May I go to the bathroom? Like, what are you getting out of that, teach?
I don't know. It's
Like what?
It's a good point.
Like what are we doing here?
It's a real good point. Hey, Liquid, I don't see anything in the stream. Do I need to log in?
I see you on the stream. You were just there, so maybe try it again.
No, you try it again. I don't want to try it again. How we doing?
Shane, you all right over there? We doing okay?
Oh man,
You're just talking through DB's mom this morning. Is that what's happening?
Oh, I didn't talk to her this. Well, I think I text.
You didn't talk to her this weekend?
I don't really feel like I did.
Oh, that's weird.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a lot going on.
It was a busy weekend.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was entertaining. That's for sure. Started with state baseball. So at one point, when Millard North took the lead.
Oh, I was coming for Sauter.
Oh,
I was
like, Friday's gonna be like World War III.
First West Side Prep,
Yeah,
and then Lincoln East Millard North. I was coming.
I was like, oh god, but this.
I was gonna light it on fire.
This is. I said this is not really gonna happen, but I did tell you.
Yeah.
Like there's just something about that team.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're just great. They just
grimy.
They are a gritty.
Yeah.
No, they don't know that they weren't supposed to be there, right? That team was there, and then Lincoln East is so goddamn battle tested.
Yeah, and they're loaded. They're really.
And they don't blink.
No, that lineup is.
Yeah. When Sinstock comes in hitting less than 300, and he's the dude.
Yeah.
They're probably pretty good.
Like that's the soft spot in the lineup.
I mean, he's just
statistically.
Yeah,
right?
these guys are just clutch.
Yeah, it's no, that was a daunting Lincoln East team. I was proud of the way Millard North handled it and gave themselves a chance. It kept fighting, especially the early. It looked like it was going to get away from them.
Yeah. So okay, yes and no. So I thought when East didn't build on the 3-0 and they kept it. they didn't blow that thing open and they let kind of Miller North settle down on the bump.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, we might be in for one.
But those
3-1 and
those first couple, as it was getting to 3-0, I thought it was going to get ugly.
yeah,
Like the way that
there were some spots,
struggle finding the zone, kind of working from behind a lot. That was, it felt like it was going to get away from them, but they battled and you're right. Once they didn't get to more than 3-0, I was like, okay, like Miller North settled down. There's a chance here.
Yeah. Yeah. I was, and obviously I didn't get off to a good start unless you're a Malcolm fan.
It was a tough go for your Central City folk.
Yeah, that's the first time in maybe a long time I remember seeing a game where I got caught up talking to the Prez, who is such a good dude.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, so they reset the score at the end, and you hear the voice come over, and I said, 4 runs on no hits, and I was like,
That's tough to swallow.
I don't know if I looked at Brett and I was like, I don't know if I've ever heard that.
I've heard some backwards ratios, but 4 runs on no hits is tough to do.
Yeah.
Like that's hard to do.
Yeah. I think it's 7 consecutive walks. It was, and Malcolm was barreling up some balls early too, which, Central City kind of kicked a couple around, and it's just going to be this one of those days.
Yeah.
Now you saw a gem in Class B. Like it's
a good weekend, a good baseball weekend.
Yeah.
High school and college.
Yeah, wasn't that incredible?
Which ironically
I like your Spartan green.
Oh, I'm
this.
It's really more like
this Sparta.
Kind of went blue and green for the Miller North,
This is
represent a little bit.
That's my dude. I sounded just like him, didn't I?
You did, nailed it.
Thank you.
No, it was ironically the concerns I had about Miller North in the championship game were largely concerns I had about Nebraska's pitching, especially early in the weekend.
Yeah.
Right? Like
it was not very offensive in general.
No. But obviously that was my big concern about Nebraska was I didn't like their pitching enough to get through a tournament style.
Mm-hmm.
Now I do think the format helped them a little bit.
Yeah, I think Friday helped.
Yeah.
Like the rain out.
Oh, 100%.
So,
and then you had a couple days off in between games. And then you had the rain out, which helped tax Oregon a little bit as well, having to play twice in the same day.
Nebraska's approach for working good starters I thought was spectacular.
Yeah, I like
especially for a team that had some swing and miss issues.
Mm-hmm.
Their patience, man. I was like, okay.
I was pretty impressed. Offensively, yeah.
And the cool thing is why I always say winning is hard, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, why are we getting into the nitty gritty of quarterback play and who gets better in year 2 development? And because we just say things, right? It's just
mm-hmm.
Let's get into it. And then you get into it, and then you look at the schedule, and you're like, man, winning is hard. And this whole thing
mm-hmm.
jumped off because of a misplayed ball in right field.
Yeah, they were literally, 3 inches away from being done?
Done.
Like done. Like that Michigan State right fielder, if he catches that ball,
done.
If Pico moves his hand 2 inches, we're not having this conversation.
And instead, they're going to one of the best college towns in America, baby.
Chapel Hill.
I am, as the kids say, I'm jelly. I'm jelly.
I'm surprised you haven't found a way to talk your way onto that.
Oh, don't think Benny Mac isn't getting the flex fit. And he's he's super. So this is going to test his loyalty.
Yeah,
because this dude is a diehard Nebraska guy. And be like, hey, B-Mac, there's a couple of hats I want. And I could clearly hear him saying, I don't know if he will, but he's got it in him. He'd say, I'm not getting you North Carolina bleep. Just like that too.
You're on an island by yourself there, my friend.
Yeah.
That sounds about right.
I could but he may I may tug at that 1 ounce of heartstrings that he saves for his kiddos. And he'd say, I got you, DB. I don't know, though. This could go either way.
Yeah.
I'm prepared.
It's a little dicey.
Because I just don't think he will. He just doesn't. I ain't getting you North Carolina. Really, DB? I could hear it.
Yeah.
But, I mean.
Just the disdain almost.
Yeah.
Of how, why would you even want that?
Yeah.
I have no idea.
Listen, I love Nebraska. It's fine.
No, listen, you can like multiple schools. It's okay.
I typically don't, though.
Yeah, you do. Look at high school, man. You like everybody.
I like kids.
Well, that's fine.
And there's some good, good administrators.
College kids are still kids.
Really good administrators. My man
You have an
JVA
affinity-
Van Akron is retiring at Papio South.
Okay.
I mean, wasn't a secret, but that's like a guy I think a lot.
How long had he been there?
Forever.
Was he from the jump?
No, I
Okay.
don't think so. But he looks much younger
than he really is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He has. I won't tell him that he's aged well. That's a good looking dude. Or I could always blame it on his brother because he's got a twin.
He's like, oh, I thought you were the other one.
And they couldn't be more opposite, so it's hilarious. But yeah, just that was a wild weekend.
Well, and we didn't even bring up Creighton.
And here's the thing. Somebody, was it Channel 3, Sean? Somebody said something about now Creighton being the other team.
Oh yeah, how Creighton was upset that Nebraska won.
Yeah, and I kind of, I get his. I mean, he's in the sports world and he's seen this a lot, and he's a Creighton fan. He's just a fan. He's a fan.
Yeah.
And I think the interesting thing is people in the baseball community, my feel is, are tickled for Creighton.
That both are in?
No.
Just Creighton.
Doesn't have anything to do with Nebraska.
Yeah.
I think it has a lot to do with people really have an affinity for Coach Service.
Sure.
He kind of did it his way. This was not an easy, I don't think, transition year.
It's a weird year.
Right?
It was a weird year.
Handled it like a pro, and they finally got over the hump in the Big East tournament.
Yeah.
So a lot of things.
Good way to go out for him.
It was great.
Because it's kind of been the big bugaboo is not being able to get through the Big East.
And
it looks like with UConn getting left out, they might have been on the outside looking in.
Yeah.
I don't know if Creighton would have gotten the benefit of the doubt as opposed to UConn.
I did.
But you don't feel good there.
I felt great about it being a 2-bid league.
Yeah.
I just didn't know which to.
Yeah.
But I said it's a 2. I'm not even like, keep it a buck, man. That's a 2-bid league.
Yeah. They're better than the 1-bid kind of narrative that was going around.
Yeah. So I think people are really, really happy for Creighton.
I would think so. I mean,
and I think it's independent
of Nebraska.
Yeah.
So I think you're probably right about the Coach Service thing. I also think there's, at least for me,
listen to his interviews. This is about as
relaxed as he's ever been.
And he's not exactly chummy.
No, but he's pretty tightly wound.
Yeah. He made a joke at the funeral. I almost fell out. I was like,
he actually is a funny guy.
I was like, hey, it's okay to laugh.
Like if you've ever been to any of those like Hilltoppers meetings or anything like he's a funny guy.
Yeah, listen.
He's super dry.
You gotta tell me. He stopped down the aisle.
Yeah.
Because he came in with the family because he was a speaker.
Mm-hmm.
He stopped and gave me a hug, and I melted like a schoolgirl. Hey, don't come at me. Boys can melt too. No, I'm just.
He's got
like a school. He melted like a school person, like Shane eating that hamburger,
like a school child.
Whose voice is that?
Child.
What?
I worked hard in school.
All right, Stewie. That's what I think of.
What? Why am I saying what?
Was it whipped?
Whipped?
And Brian goes, "What?
Can I get some whipped cream?"
What? Why are you saying it like that? Yeah, Brian talks.
Why am I saying what like that?
Overrated show.
There's some funny parts though.
No, it is. It was ridiculous.
Like the funny stuff is high marks.
And I know you're gonna be shocked.
Yeah.
I was late to the party. I didn't watch Family Guy until it was like in season 8.
Yeah.
And there are all these funny lines, and the weather guy and
seemed like a big Cleveland guy.
That's the brother, right? Oh, funny.
Shane liked it.
He even had his own show.
Yeah, see, you got a spinoff.
With my wife, Loretta.
That's actually a pretty good Cleveland.
He's always in the bathtub.
I can go into character now. I can do that.
No, that's a show. There's a few of those where the highs are incredibly high.
It's a funny show.
But like on the episode in, episode out basis, I'm like, I'm not really feeling this.
It's grossly inappropriate too.
Yeah, it is. I'm surprised you like it. It's a little.
You make it seem like I'm some pious schoolboy. Like I do watch horrors and like serial killers. Like I'm not.
I know, but there's
You're right. You're right with like some of the social stuff,
like language and some of that kind of stuff.
I get it.
I can. You're not a chicken like I am when it comes to like gory and horror and stuff like that.
Kill them all.
Yeah, you're just like, oh, how
just use kind language.
Yeah, it's like, but don't say naughty words.
Who taught? It's not my. Okay, just don't say naughty. Like, who is that? Who is that?
I don't even know.
Just don't say naughty words. Does that strike you as my delivery? Yeah, I'm glad you think you're funny.
I thought it was pretty funny.
I was coming in this morning, and do you know what the I'm over it segment was?
No, what was it this morning?
It was fantastic.
I saw it on there, but it was.
I don't know if you care enough. They got into overrated cookout foods.
Oh, I do care about.
And it was a gem.
I almost always care about food.
Because your boy is out on people that do the vegetables at cookouts.
Oh, 100%. Knock it off. What are we doing? Who are we trying to fool? You know what I mean?
I'll bring a salad.
Like, who are we trying to fool?
Hey, how about some grilled asparagus?
Yeah. You can get bleeped with that.
Whoa.
I don't want anything to do with your grilled asparagus. Get out of here.
Some nice sweet curd on the cab.
So this was probably a decade ago now. I was at a friend's house and we were grilling out, and they're like, oh, we got these like veggie kebabs. I'm like, why? What are we doing? They're like, no, they're really good. I'm like, no, they're not. You have meat right here. Why would you do this?
Some of the players, because I owed them. Not really, because I mean,
Lamar?
MVP. Sixth man
of the year.
What year?
2010?
11.
Oh.
I believe he was 11.
All right. You're probably right.
Maybe.
I'll look.
And I'm terrible with the 2-digit, like the 9-10 season, the 10-11.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm not good with that. You think in my business I would know the difference, but I don't. And it is unusually warm in here. I'm just trying to figure out why.
I think because it's cool outside, the air hasn't kicked on, even though it's set pretty low.
Yeah, this is miserable. I am.
We'll figure it out. We'll get it going.
Could be my pills too. So
yeah, no, that's definitely part of it.
Don't mind me. How you know?
Because there's like a stark difference.
I can't
when you were taking them, when you're not taking them.
Yeah, I can't remember who. Somebody got me back on magnesium.
2010, 2011.
Let's go, DB.
Yeah,
25.
Thank you. I was kind of going out on a limber.
No, you did a good job.
Oh, you were encouraging after being a Richard head just 5 minutes ago.
Me?
Don't use what did you say again?
Just don't use naughty words. Richard Hole.
Let's not do that voice again. But the overrated, I was totally vibing because I think it's what I can't see the stream, man. I'm kind of bummed.
Headley goes, Damon, did he really have to say the F word while he mutilated that family? Or mutilated that family?
He's low key funny.
He is funny.
He is low key funny. It's kind of stealthy. That's fine.
T-Mac goes, DB, did you say you watch horrors or the WH word that sounds like it?
See, he's on me. He should be taking out his frustration on you. I don't know why he's on me. Because did you see him in the stream the other day when you made Nebraska? Like, what did you 10-2?
Yeah.
And he goes, just in typical is how he is, right? Just subtle. He's like,
wow,
incredible.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Listen, he's logged on to the Homer Network.
Drinking the Kool-Aid.
But T-Mac should be happy. Texas is in a good spot.
Big red Kool-Aid, man. Not like Texas A&M. Oof.
Yeah. Oof. Are you like don't cheer for people's
demise.
No,
I'm just saying it's to go from you've experienced this just to go back to being a jerk, going preseason #1 to missing the postseason. That's a tough look.
You've experienced this. Why you had to bring me into it?
Well, just so you know, I wasn't being nice this morning. I think Baycott's still standing under the rim trying to make layups.
First of all,
he's doing his best.
Look, this is deflective anger. I don't even know why you're laughing because you don't even know who Armando Baycott is, and you have no idea what team he's talking about. But you think it's funny because he said it. Keep it pushing.
Oh, you didn't know?
dude has no idea, and you hear him over there laughing.
I know. That's
He's
the
getting
funniest part.
DB.
I'm on delay. I'm laughing at something 5 minutes ago.
You probably are.
I mean, people like to give Angel Reese credit for that move. That's a Baycott original.
Wow.
No, it's fine. It's tough to be Texas A&M out here.
Yeah, I know you're low key.
No Schadenfreude, just
rooting against my guy.
I mean,
everybody.
I'm rooting to be right that it was a bad job to take.
Of course you are. No, I get it. Too.
He's gonna be fine because I'm sure there's a large payout number if he is relieved of his duties.
Yeah.
So
how much money would you have to make to be miserable?
Well, once they fire me, I'm not miserable anymore, and I'm still making the money. So
it was a
weird move.
No,
it was a bad job to take. That was my only point. It's a bad job to take.
Hey, Sparty, relax.
Yeah. Also, I was trying to represent Michigan State, helping Nebraska out with that MVP Pico, most outstanding player for Nebraska.
They battled. They do. That was.
I mean, Brockett was incredible. Ty Horn was incredible.
What did I say to you? Was it Saturday? Is it weird that he just?
Oh, Jackson.
Any other time other than when it matters, he's just a regular dude.
He's just fine.
But when it's like nut cutting time,
bright lights, he's like, "Let's go, baby."
This dude's like, "Yeah, I'm cool."
You need another no out of me. Pretty,
Yeah. Gave up. What did he give up? 1 through 6 or 1 hit through 6?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just a gem.
Just dealing. Unbelievable.
I'm like, all right, Jay Bizzle.
I do have.
He's a good. We've talked to him before. He's a good interview too because he's very a lot of gratitude. He's very humble.
I think Andrew and I talked to him right after the no-hitter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you kicking me out that soon?
I don't think you were here for that.
Well, we did talk to him once.
I don't remember. Was that it? I don't know. I get my timeline
apparently
confused.
Like most people I deal with, I become an afterthought.
No, I just get the timeline confused.
Just give me time.
I'm like,
fade to black, baby.
I'm like, you don't have that far to fade. I almost sent you a TikTok this weekend, but I thought it might have been a little too far.
Oh, do tell.
So there's this little kid. He's probably like 4 years old, and his aunt was they're both black. His aunt was a little lighter skinned than him, and he didn't really understand that light skinned people were still black. And so she goes out the door and she goes, "Hey, stay black, little man." He goes, "Stay white, auntie."
Wow.
It was pretty funny.
It made you think of me, huh?
And she goes,
"You realize it's Tuesday, not Monday, right?"
"Oh, shoot. My bad. I thought it was Friday."
I'm just saying. So back to the overrated cookout foods. Wow. There are those.
Oh, well, yeah. What were the underrated cookout foods or overrated cookout foods?
Of course, the standard like
potato salad. Did that make it?
No.
Okay.
They got it under the veggies. I do think potato salad is highly overrated.
Yeah, I'll eat it sometimes. I'll eat some potato salad.
She goes in these spurts where it's all about the potato salad. I don't like potato salad.
I usually don't either, but every once in a while it hits the spot.
Oh, DJ grilled fillets. I mean, who doesn't do that?
I ran into DJ a couple days ago.
He told me.
Yeah. I meant to text
you. You saw him Friday, right?
Thursday.
Yeah.
It was Thursday.
I can't remember where he said, but he goes,
it was at the restaurant with my mom that we always go to.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I was like, yes. I think I said celiacs, but I had celiacs on the brain.
Yeah, it's a gluten thing.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, yeah. He goes, oh, yeah. She was telling me she's got a picture on the wall and everything.
Yep.
And I was like, isn't that weird? I give him a hard time, but I totally get it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's good to see him. I hadn't seen him in a while.
Probably
since football season.
It's a funny dude.
Yeah.
The guys came into the game. They came to the game.
They came to the Malcolm Central City game, right?
Like 8-9 deep, right?
Yeah.
And then they came here and tore the place up.
Yeah. He told me Teddy's swolled up.
Yeah. I saw him yesterday. They look it's just good looking kids, but
he said Teddy's walking around about 2:30 now.
They went golfing.
Yeah.
He's like, it's like, DB, I'll be over there. I'll be home about 5. Gonna play a quick 9 with some of the fellas. I hope you brought an umbrella.
You think Dom ever gets mad that he's always wearing the Notre Dame gear?
No, I think Dom's fantastic.
Okay.
That's probably where I spent most of my time with.
Yeah?
Yeah. Well, DJ's to my left and Dom was right across from me.
Yeah.
and helped with
He's
the
never like,
food.
hey, Dad, I need you to rock some more Vandy gear.
Dom is like, I told you, I just have a weird affinity for him. He's an adult. He's a good dude. I mean, we was big boy
They all kind of seem that way, though.
Big boy talks, though.
Yeah.
And, I mean, Dom's right there.
That's part of the reason you liked the Twins so much, though, right? Is like because they just don't need babysitters.
I told a funny story about Anthony telling people to STFU in the huddle. Like, hey, man, we're out here on a practice field. We probably need to calm that down. And then afterwards, because I don't really mess with the offense too much, except for the running backs, and I may occasionally have my 2 cents.
Yeah.
But I don't say it out loud.
Yeah.
Right. I just
kind of off to the side.
Yeah.
A little.
So afterwards, after practice, I was like, I know I probably curbed that, and I come across as a square, but I'm not gonna even kid you. I love that. Like that's your team, your huddle. Get them yahoos to calm down.
Yep.
And he's still the same.
No, I like it.
Yeah.
I'm a fan.
Still the same. Saw Coach Booth's daughter last night.
Yeah?
Yep.
How was that?
Well, she's cool.
She's out there?
Apparently, they're friends.
Oh.
She's hanging out with the group.
Nice. There you go.
She's great.
Nice little cookout?
It was kind of like it just was subtle.
Yeah.
Just, sat there for a couple hours. I guess it's time to eat. Dude had like 30 fillets and disposable tins is out ready. And I was like,
just ready to go.
Feel like he had this plan.
Either that or he just keeps fillets ready to rock.
And they didn't do the overrated thing because Dom went in and asked Lisa, he's like, hey, we doing asparagus? And because there was some asparagus in the container. And Dom came back. Mom said no asparagus. I'm like, let's go, Lisa.
Good call.
Need no veggies.
Somebody in that family's got to have some sense.
Yeah. So just watching, I was a little surprised at your T-Pups.
Yeah. My T-Pups.
I don't know how they got here.
I don't either. I don't think they're very good.
I watch and I'm like, this is not.
Can I also?
This is not. I don't like watching them.
I don't either. They play bad basketball. Even though I do think there's a certain level of talent, I don't think they play very well. Can I also just say, though, on the Oklahoma City side, I'm going to just I feel like I'm going to wring Denegalt's neck every time. You know what I'm going to say, don't you? I got mad about this before.
After, the late game situation?
Yeah. What are we doing?
I know.
You can't foul immediately.
I know.
They fouled twice within a second.
I know.
I need you
so
that's the second time he did that. Last time it cost him.
He may have a thing. Because he's got to kind of probably explain that a little better.
Yeah, because it's stupid. It's real dumb. You're literally doing the thing the losing team wants to do. You're extending the game.
I don't understand.
Surprise, surprise.
I understand the foul up 3.
Oh, don't you try to get it back in good graces. You're squarely in the doghouse.
I understand.
You need people like me.
Not really.
I understand the foul up 3 crowd. I do, even if it's not necessarily my go-to. But if you're going to do it, you have to do it properly and not just give the other team countless opportunities to stay in the game.
Mm-hmm.
That's all he was doing.
Yeah.
He's like, hey, I can't lose on this possession. But yeah, you're giving them 8 chances to win. And then what would we see happen? Again, Shea missed a free throw that let Minnesota
He's hard to watch too.
back in the door.
This is kind of his national coming out party.
It's not as pretty.
I don't know
as
if people
want
love
it to be.
his game.
I mean, when we say a herky-jerky game, that's kind of like it's hard. It's difficult to watch. It's not super smooth. You're not getting like the incredible power displays that you get out of an Anthony Edwards. You're not getting the crazy smooth handle that you get from a Curry or a Kyrie. It's just this sort of weird, you never really can get a feel for him, and that's why he gets fouled so much. And he knows what he's doing, but it's not a pretty game to watch. It's not a pretty game to watch Denegalt coach either.
It was a weird, it was an interesting weekend.
It was good.
I was bummed about softball, obviously, but hey, how much does Pickens run it?
Oh, you mean Yap?
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, super extra.
Well, the SEC, it just means more.
Fudge.
Yeah, there's a lot going on there.
And that's how it is. I mean, I've been to I get it with softball, but
oh yeah, softball players chatter.
Yeah.
Like they're chippy.
Yeah, a couple of stare downs, and I mean,
it's kind of funny though, coming from like a baseball background, not at a high level.
But you've seen what's happened in college baseball the last couple of years. People cracking down on sportsmanship.
Yeah,
with the bat flipping and the trotting, and like they've made a progressive effort. I don't know. It may make its way into softball too.
But there's stuff that softball players do like every inning that would get you beamed in baseball.
Yeah. The trots or the pirouettes out of the box.
Yeah, like you're taking one between the numbers.
They might need to make these softball fields a little bigger too.
Yeah, a little bit.
I mean, when people are hitting balls out of the stadium.
Yeah, not just over the wall.
Like out of the stadium.
Maybe we're going to figure some things out there.
Yeah. It's so, I mean, I focused on the regionals. I think I did land at Baton Rouge being
the hardest.
No.
Oh, okay.
No, I'm college baseball.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Like, it's a manageable
for
region.
LSU.
Yeah.
How much of that has to do with the fact that how much you like LSU though?
So I don't love LSU.
Okay.
I don't love
They're
LSU.
the favorite, I believe, and I don't.
Were you surprised Vandy got the one?
You
talk about a second half of the season.
Yeah, like they came on really strong, but they were rough at the beginning. So I was a little surprised. I was surprised that they weighted it the way they did with the way their season went. But it's been a long time since they were not playing well.
Yeah, we'll get into
because they're kind of rolling.
I got some Katy Perry's, man.
Yeah,
few dark horses.
I think it's fairly open.
I got a few.
Am I crazy? Like
no,
it seems,
I think it's wide.
It seems pretty open.
It's wide,
which serves well for me and trying to get my Seminoles their first College World Series title.
It's a great ACC tournament they had though.
Not ideal.
Well, ran into that buzzsaw, baby.
Chapel Hill guy.
Big Chapel Hill guy.
I just really,
their uniforms are just silly. Their combinations are sick.
Carolina.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is sick.
Actually, in all seriousness, the Carolina-Florida State matchup, those are, for me, like all-time uniforms. I love the uniform combinations that North Carolina
puts together. And you saw them in
together.
like 10 days of each other because they played the season
they played
finale.
the last season, or the last series of the season. And I love the different, the garnet and gold combinations that Florida State puts together. The gold with the garnet pinstripes is my favorite.
Hey, so what got you into even Jacob was chiming in with the Creighton baseball.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, like in the group chat.
Sometimes
that can just be me and Dean Marinas.
Yeah, sometimes.
And I was like, oh, everybody's involved.
Yeah, so part of it for me is a lot of times Creighton baseball is not easy to watch, just not very accessible.
Yeah.
So I'll listen to it because I either have other stuff going on or it's not easy for me to bring up Big Ten East or Big East Plus. And so I'll listen to it, but I don't feel like I have a great feel of what's going on.
Yeah, that's what I said. I'm like,
it's just not an accessible.
Wow, we're breaking down Went coming out of the bullpen for a start. Let's go.
Yeah, that was that dude shoved early.
Yeah, once he got off to a good start, I was like, oh fudge. Creighton is stealing.
I did think I was stunned they brought him out for the fourth. Like that dude felt like he was hanging on by tatters, and they're like, let's run it out again.
Yeah,
and it obviously worked out, right? Yeah. He gets the one out. They don't score that inning, so it's fine. Mm-hmm. But that goes the other way more often than not.
Yeah.
And I know Maddie was pushing back on me. I was like, come on, bud. We know what we're doing here.
He's funny because you can't really tell his vibe, but he is consistent though. He is.
No, he is.
His delivery is very.
And I understand they got a couple runs to put it 3-0, so you got him a little leeway. But man, if I see him struggling through the third the way I did, I'm not bringing that guy out for any more pitches. I felt like stealing getting him out of the third without runs.
How much of a joy is it? At least for me, because I think baseball is. I feel about it. It's extremely difficult. It is.
Oh yeah.
It is the toughest of the true skilled team sports. Watching sailors approach at the plate.
Oh man, he's phenomenal.
He's incredible.
There's some guys that I don't know what Sailor's future holds in terms of professional baseball, whatever. I'm sure he'll get a shot somewhere. Yeah. But that's a dude that you just look at and go, okay, that's a professional approach to hitting.
He understands the strike zone better than the pitchers he's facing.
Yeah.
He knows the pitching strike zone isn't his hitting zone. He knows where he wants to hit the baseball.
There's almost like a Kevin Youkilis to it, where it's like, hey, this guy is sort of, not that Sailors is average by any means, but at the level that Youkilis was at. He was sort of only an average hitter, but his understanding of the strike zone was so good.
You talking about Kevin Youkilis?
Yeah.
Nice pull and why? Oh, Red
Sox. Come on, man. Greek guy to walks. And he's a Moneyball and a Red Sox guy. Like, that's a perfect intersection of baseball players for me.
So it wasn't the tape on the wrist, no gloves? That's a good pull.
Oh, he had one of the goofiest ass batting stances of all time, too.
Huh.
Where he's like doing the...
Oh, man, put that on your bingo card. Kevin Youkilis.
Oh, I was a big Youkilis guy. I loved Youkilis.
Shocker.
But no, he's like, that was his best skill by far was understanding of the zone. And there's like some pitches that are going to be called strikes that you want nothing to do with, and you just leave them and you spit on them and you're like, hey, great pitch. And there's sometimes you're like, hey, I kind of have to fight this off a little bit. And that's what Sailors does.
Yeah.
Sailors has an incredible understanding of, hey, they're going to call that a strike and that's fine. I don't want anything to do with it. Like, I think sometimes hitters get it in their head that just because it's a strike, you have to swing. That's not true.
Yeah.
You get 3 of those. Like, there's a couple you could take. You know what I mean?
I'm pretty excited. So Shane, we got to make, and I know we're sure today. We've had Fitty and we've had Kyle. Did you see him in studio?
Mm-hmm.
Him and Schick are funny. It's good to see. Schick was in this market.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna refer to him as
one of ours.
Yeah.
Kyle was one of ours back in the day, but he never really worked media in this market.
Back in the day.
Back in the day.
Shane, so we're gonna. I don't care who it is. It can be Fitty. I don't know if KP will make a quick turnaround because he's probably pretty tired post-graduation.
And SEC tournament.
And the tournament with his flight schedule, so he may be like, But
does Schick have anything going on this time?
Yeah, so I'll take Kendall or Schick if we can.
Yeah, either one of those would be great.
If we can grab them.
Get a little college baseball talk because they start Thursday, right?
Yeah, and guess who can get inside of Texas A&M?
Who's that?
Kendall.
Oh, that's right,
Rogers.
Kendall. Yeah,
So you want me to have for one of those guys?
Oh my God,
that would be terrific, Shane.
What am I got to stay on? Am I speaking Portuguese?
That'd be terrific, Shane. Thank you.
If you want to speak pork, go for it.
Speak who?
Speak pork?
Oh, we ran through it.
Did you?
I'll take it.
What kind? Not pulled. I know you're not eating pulled pork.
It's just bacon and sausage, like with the kids all around.
Oh yeah.
And I got my little superstar eating sausage.
Yeah.
So I told you a couple of those packages were pre-done.
Mm-hmm.
She didn't want those. She goes.
She wanted you to make the patties.
She said they're too small. I go. You just started eating it 2 days ago. Like, can we ease into this thing before I waste the good stuff on you?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, this little girl's getting pattied sausages with her cinnamon rolls.
Yeah.
And Caleb comes upstairs. He's like, "Oh, eating protein, good for you." And she said, "Really, Lob?" I was like, "Here, this is gonna be a long 4 days."
The attitude's incredible.
She just gets her tail whipped.
Really, Lob?
Yeah. I mean, he just puts it on her. And
yeah.
all you can hear is yelling and laughing. I'm like, somebody's going to break a bone. Like, dum, 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 dum. I'm like, Zoe, you good? Yeah. I'm just getting whooped. Like, wow. Yeah. Just come over anytime.
I'm not trying to babysit.
All fun and games till somebody loses a limb.
Anyway. Probably won't lose one. Just break it.
I want to get inside these regions.
Yeah, we can do that.
I kind of do. It's strange too. As Nebraska got the 3, they're in a light hitting regional.
Yeah, which helps them out for my concerns.
I think so. It's not a tradition. I've said this for I don't know a month now. It's not a traditional Carolina team, but they do pitch it.
Yeah. Nebraska needs to win their first game.
They do pitch it.
Like Nebraska can't really come.
And Oklahoma's gettable.
Yeah, I think so.
Oklahoma, isn't it weird? That was the comp I was giving Creighton.
Yeah. I think Oklahoma's gettable for sure. This is a team that, much like in the Big Ten tournament, like they need to stay in the winner's bracket because they're not. I don't like their pitching depth enough to come back through it. Like they're going to be if they're starting to play multiple games in the same day, like they're going to have a hard time. But yeah, let's do that next. Let's get into the NCAA baseball regionals. That's DB. I'm Ravi. Let's Hurrdat Sports Live here at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill. We'll be right back.
We will be back. We will be back. We will be back. We will be back. You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Live.
We're back here on Hurrdat Sports Live. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla here at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill, reminding you, as it's a little rainy out there, maybe some slick spots out on the road, keep those eyes focused and straight ahead. This message from the NDOT Highway Safety Office. You've got one job as a driver. That is to drive. Don't get distracted. DB.
What up?
Are you distracted by the regionals? Have you found any of them distracting?
No, not too bad. I'm interested.
No distress on your part?
I kind of like a couple of double-digit seeds, though.
Okay.
Like, I like Coastal a little bit.
Coastal's nice. Like,
and they can pitch, too.
And they're used to this stage. They're not worried about.
And a team that's kind of been on the cusp.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of like Southern Miss.
I was just looking at their regional. So they're hosting. They've got Columbia, Alabama, Miami.
It's definitely doable.
It is doable. I know a couple of those seem like daunting teams, but they're really not. Like Bama and Miami aren't super scary. And obviously Columbia is really not either. I kind of like Southern Miss.
I do too.
Like that's not a bad regional for them. I think it's very manageable, even though they're the 15?
Yep.
Or 16.
16.
They're the 16.
Yeah.
So they're the last regional. UCLA's the 15. How do you feel about the Tallahassee regional?
So we got, is that Bethune-Cookman, Florida State, the Bulldogs?
Yeah, it's
and Northeastern.
Another kind of dog.
Oh, be careful of Northeastern.
Are they spicy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would not surprise me.
Really?
They'll beat Mississippi State.
You think so?
Yeah.
Because Mississippi State's not really.
North. Watch me. Shane, listen to what I'm telling you. Northeastern will beat Mississippi State.
Yeah.
They will.
But so you think Northeastern's the second?
That's a
sneaky one.
I like Northeastern though.
Yeah.
That's a
no gimmies in Tallahassee.
That's actually not a bad region.
Yeah.
But Northeastern as a team, you're gonna have to get your scout game right.
Yeah.
Who was that we talked to a couple years ago, and their coach was so good? We had an in because one of his former players is a P1.
Yeah.
Was it Stony Brook?
I was gonna say Stony Brook. That's what I thought it was.
Might have been Stony, and he was great. He
Yeah.
was so that's how Northeastern will be.
Yeah.
Like that. That's how Northeastern will be. I'm not in love with the. I think Oregon has a tough regional.
See, I was going to go Oregon State. What'd you think about Corvallis? Because we were talking about this in the group chat a little bit because they had such a strange schedule because they're not really affiliated right now. Like they had a very strange road to this.
I'm looking to see is there any trip ups?
So they got St. Mary's. They've got just USC
playing the matchups,
and they've got who's the fourth one there? TCU. How do you feel about TCU this year?
They didn't do them any favors.
TCU
in that regional
pretty tough. Like that's a tough one.
You could probably make the case that TCU could be hosting.
I think so. I mean, they're 17 in the RPI, so they're right on the cusp there. Like they're not even doing me favors.
I don't like USC though.
Yeah, outside of
I will take
outside of TCU, I think that's manageable, but TCU is kind of a tough one.
I just don't like. I'm gonna take TCU in that one.
Okay. You think they're coming out of it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's tough.
They didn't do them any favors. Like that's the TCU might be they're in the conversation for best team not hosting.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on Tennessee?
They feel a little overrated to me.
Their range of play
like outcomes
is wild.
Yeah, there's like a huge variance there.
Like they got run ruled
by Vandy.
Yeah.
That's not a
they just kind of, I kind of waited for their health. And I was like, well, they're going to get their arms back. I don't know. Like, their variance it's pretty volatile.
It really is. And I think they get the benefit of the doubt a lot.
That Conway regional for Coastal is gross.
So you're, okay, Coastal. Let's see.
East Carolina's nice. Everybody is still on Florida.
Yeah.
Which I don't get. And now they'll prove me wrong.
Yeah, Caglione's not there anymore, right?
They were somebody's dark horse yesterday. I can't remember who, and I'm like,
nah.
Why? We keep waiting on Florida.
I think that's
and I'm kind of getting some KP vibes because he was riding with him too a couple weeks ago, and I'm like, I guess.
Yeah.
Was it Florida that I threw in the Kentucky and Oklahoma discussion? And he was like, "Oh, Florida."
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because we did Florida, Kentucky,
and
Oklahoma. OU. I thought there was Ole Miss. We threw Ole Miss in there too, I think.
How about Ole Miss getting it together and they still kick it around?
Yeah, I don't. There's a lot of these SEC teams that I'm like, they're good, but they're definitely getting elevated by the conference.
Yeah.
Obviously to navigate 43 wins or whatever what Tennessee did, like they're a good team, but their outcome variance is enormous.
That Auburn regional is interesting too. Auburn's a hard team to peg because they got hot and they were really good at home. So considering they are at home, but that Austin regional is going to be interesting too. K-State can swing it.
Yeah, that one's kind of
and Texas can't score.
Also, I haven't watched them a ton this year, but typically, like Houston Christian, Houston Baptist, or whatever you want to call it, Houston Christian now, right?
You better learn their name by the time they come to Lincoln.
They come to Omaha too. They play both this year.
Ah.
Oh, they play Creighton this year too. I believe, or they played them last year.
They do.
They played them last year.
Yeah. No, I think they play them this year too.
Okay, I thought they did.
Although I don't even want to jump ship, but Creighton and Nebraska's non-con.
Yeah, they're getting after it.
Nice.
That's
You see a couple you get Gonzaga, and then you get one of the best players in the country for BYU.
Creighton is Creighton's scheduling like a team that thinks they can be a high seed in the NCAA tournament.
That's a good roster.
Yeah, it is.
That's a really good.
But they do this. Like they go
if the camaraderie comes together.
Yeah.
Fudge.
Yeah, that's a really good roster.
It is a good roster.
But you see them do that. And you kind of get in baseball too, where teams will sort of schedule to what they think their roster is. And that's kind of what not hurt Nebraska, but could have potentially hurt Nebraska and Creighton on the front end. Was Nebraska's was better for sure, but like Creighton especially, I don't think they knew what this roster was, and they didn't schedule great in the non-con.
Yeah.
But they ended up because that probably keeps them from being a 2 seed, right?
Yeah.
The non-con schedule.
Yeah, because you just didn't have the opportunity. You didn't.
Because they didn't have a quad 1 game until the tournament, until the Big East. Well, and then Nebraska elevated into a quad 1 later.
Yeah.
But at the time, they didn't play a quad 1 when it was a quad 1 until the Big East tournament.
JG, it would be so I can see those, Shane, that you pull up, but I can't see anything.
You can't see the feed.
And the feed. That'll be an interesting regional for sure. I think there'll be a lot of close games and a few surprises. It's just not a very offensive region. So, I mean, even Florida State and Carolina in the series finale, they're playing 5-4 games.
Yeah.
And Oklahoma's a little different, but it just doesn't strike me as like, ooh, Nebraska's going to need to score a ton of runs.
Well, because last year, right? They end up with Florida, and you're like, yeah, I don't know if they're going to be able to keep up with Florida.
Yeah, they got off to the good start, but I'm like, I don't think they can keep this up.
No, and they couldn't, right? They didn't have the pitching depth to keep up with especially in Florida where it's kind of a bandbox.
Yeah.
Right? They really had a hard time with that. That's probably not the case this year.
Sadie, I agree. He's like 13, 14, you girls are hitting it out of 200, 220-foot softball fields. They should be 250 minimum in college. Like, I agree.
Yeah.
They're leaving the ballpark.
Well, and they've made a lot of other changes to the game and never really adjusted the
seating capacity for one.
Well, yeah, but I mean also, I know this was a while ago, but I was watching a broadcast. I think it was the Nebraska broadcast where they're talking about where they switched the ball from the white ball to the yellow ball and kind of how the difference that made. And it's like the batters have adjusted and now it's sort of caught back up. And you go, okay, you probably need to make some, like as bat technology's gotten better and hitters have gotten better, probably need to make some adjustments to dimensions there. Like 220 is pretty light.
I was floored.
Yeah.
And there are some big time hitters.
100%. Yeah. There's
I'm like
they can mash. So
just flat out flipping rake.
Probably need to have more than like a 12-year-old little league field to contain that a little bit.
Which national seed do you think is in the most trouble?
Ooh,
that's a single digit seed.
Okay, so like so one of the top 8s.
Yeah.
Let's see here. I like how Vandy's playing. Honestly, it might be.
They're not in a great regional, like competitive wise. I don't love Georgia.
So I was looking at Georgia, and then I was looking at, we talked about Oregon State.
Now they have 2 of the best hitters in the country in the
Yeah.
middle of that lineup, but I don't love Georgia.
I was looking at Georgia. I was looking at Oregon State because of TCU, obviously. And then,
but Georgia's got to deal with Binghamton, Okie State, and Duke.
Yeah. Would you be shocked? Would you be shocked if Auburn lost?
No. Auburn's a little. I mean, no disrespect to my
4 seems high
to Preble or Frank Thomas or Bo or Greg Olson, but those mid-'80s Auburn's team.
4 seems high.
It would not. It wouldn't shock me, but they got like they're playing. The second half of their season was pretty good, and they were outstanding at home.
Yeah,
I think they were like 26-4, maybe something like that at home.
Mm-hmm.
Like they were way good.
Yeah, that was one of those SEC teams we were talking about. That is just like their home road splits were dramatic.
Yeah. Like
them and like Alabama were pretty aggressive.
I don't love Alabama.
I don't either.
But
I don't
I
either.
mean, it will be wide open.
But they're not a host, right? So they're I don't know what to make
They
of
probably
them.
won't put it. I got to ask one of my degenerate friends. They probably don't have odds this early. They may probably wait to.
I think they have them for national champion. I don't know if they have them for the individual regionals out yet. They might wait a day.
I need somebody to get on that.
I'm sure somebody has them out.
Get Brett where I said.
I'm sure somebody has those things out.
Well, Schaefer, see what he thinks. Big baseball guy.
Yeah, I'm sure he's excited about
We
this.
missed talking to Schaefer last week, didn't we?
Yeah,
Did we get Mike J?
No, he was unavailable last week.
He was on the move. Said he could maybe go later in the week.
Yeah. So I think we just punted on it.
Nebraska's recruiting weekend targets are falling by the wayside, too.
I know. A lot of people were mad about the Titan Davis one.
It kind of bummed me out.
Yeah.
Not going to kid you.
He's pretty good. I think.
I was a little surprised.
Yeah. He seemed pretty interested. Then USC comes swooping in.
Well, Lincoln Riley's 2026 class. Yeah, I'm just going to keep saying
they're number one right now, aren't they?
It's pretty.
He's doing some work.
It's incredible.
I do wonder.
I asked you this last week.
Yeah.
Because you're kind of yucky on SC, and I'm like, well, I just don't like him in the conference. You're not alone. He has more critics now than ever. But I think it started because remember I asked you the question last year.
Mm-hmm.
I said, does he need to shake off the stink of jumping ship
to avoid the SEC?
To avoid the SEC.
Yeah, he does.
Because I couldn't figure out what it was, but he's kind of fallen out of favor for a guy that I think's a pretty good coach
and has won a lot.
Yeah,
I don't think.
But we kind of poo-poo Link. He's a good. I don't know what it is.
Part of it for me too is he seems almost willfully stubborn about, hey, this is how I coach. I'm not going. I know he's brought in some new guys in terms of defensive coordinators and stuff like that. And their defense was way better last year.
Yeah,
but he seems a lot of the time he's been sort of like willfully stubborn about, hey, this is how I play and we're going to figure it out. And it's like, oh, that doesn't always work, especially in the Big Ten, just a different beast than the Pac-12 or the Big 12 or the ACC. And I don't know, like if you don't have Caleb Williams, this is the thing I asked last year. If you don't have Caleb Williams, what is this team?
Like
if you don't have a Caleb Williams level talent, what is this team?
Terrified is too strong of a word, and I know we got to get to Schaefer, but I think
Shafe's not till 9. We got plenty.
I thought he was 8.
No, we got plenty of time.
I think he's I'm a little concerned at the level of disrespect.
I think
he's better than.
I think they'd be the.
It's not quite giving me Sark vibes from a couple years ago, but
I think they'd be the best team in the Big 12. And I don't mean that disrespectfully. I just stylistically, I think you can really struggle to play the way he wants to in this conference.
Well, we'll see.
We've seen it with every.
And it's more offensive line than defensive line, in my opinion, in this league. But
I mean, we've only seen one team do it successfully, and that's Ohio State. Really play kind of the way he wants to play. And Ohio State's always, when they've won at the highest level.
And I still would call, they are a power spread team.
Oregon?
They, no.
Ohio State. Yes. Ohio State is much more like.
Double at the point, the downhill run game. Like, it's a power team.
Yeah. Much more so than USC is.
Oh, look at the offensive lineman they got drafted. Clearly, Ohio State was pretty good.
Well, so that was going to be my point, is when Ohio State wins at this level, it's because their lines, their trenches are incredible. Yeah. Like we saw, what did we see the last few years where they're like, oh, they don't have any of those star defensive linemen. They've really struggled. And guess what? They weren't really winning at the level that Ohio State
and it was why Michigan was wearing them out.
Yeah, that's why Michigan was beating them, right? Because they could kind of impose their will on them. And that's the only team we really see even do anything similar to this in conference and win at any sort of high level consistently, and they still have the linemen to do it. I don't know if USC does, and I don't know if that really – I don't know if having a power element really suits what Lincoln Riley wants to do.
I am glad that game is in Lincoln.
Yeah.
I just don't want to back-to-back that Cali thing.
No, that'd be terrible.
Pasadena's already gives me the willies.
I may
skip that game.
You got a little –
yeah.
Go all Zoolander. You got the black lung.
Yeah. Which reminds me, we got some big interviews coming up for that second week in June.
Yeah?
Yeah, so I might have to mess with our schedule a little.
All right. We can figure it out.
Getting down to it to see who we all get to work with.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Well, we'll see. We'll figure that out. That's DB.
I'm not telling.
Yeah, you'll tell me. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla. We'll be back. More Hurrdat Sports Live.
I think that is a huge part of it because really nobody on the roster had played in a regional before last year. Now these guys all have. And I think maybe even more important than that is the schedule that we've played this year. I think we're more prepared to go in a regional type setting this year. Not that our schedule was a cakewalk last year by any stretch, but by kind of just looking at the field in the top 8, we've played, 4 games against the top 8, won 3. So we're battle tested and we've seen a lot of really good arms. The run that we made through the tournament was just like a regional in my mind, just in terms of the ace pitching that we saw over the course of the 4 games.
Aspirations can drive us. Sometimes a simple gesture is what fuels the pursuit of a dream. When it's time to make your dream a reality, we are here to help. Centris Federal Credit Union. We are where you are.
Yeah, I mean, I think you can look back at the last month and a half, 2 months, and I think, we really started to play complementary baseball. We've talked about that a lot this season as a group. And I think we've really figured out what that means for us. When the offense can go out and score, it's the pitcher's job to go and hang zeros. And if they get off to a slow start, then it's our job to hold them and let our offense score first. And I think we're figuring that piece out, and we're confident in how we're playing right now.
Absolutely. I mean, our pitchers definitely helped us those games. Tyner in the Big Ten game, just unbelievable out of him. That's the guy we've been wanting to see, and just seeing him do that is just unbelievable. Like him doing that is just unbelievable. I mean, like I said, so we have so much confidence in the pitchers and the hitters that we can make a run here.
Welcome to Hurrdat Sports Live.
A jam-packed crowd has reached a fever pitch. A strike 3 called. A turbulent season ends with a repeat.
Nebraska dog piles for the second straight year at the Big Ten tournament.
We're back here on Hurrdat Sports Live, presented by Centris Federal Credit Union. If you're looking for a new vehicle, maybe it's a recreational vehicle, maybe it's your daily driver, maybe it's a motorcycle. If my wife's listening, it's not a motorcycle. You can't have one. But if you could, Centris would have you covered. They've been voted best in Omaha for auto loans, and you can check it out, centrisfcu.org. Talk to one of their experts to see what's right for you. Go in looking for your vehicle equipped with the right financial knowledge. That's centrisfcu.org. DB?
What up?
I want to get to the college football playoff thing here in just a second, but I do.
Old Sangster.
Yeah, we love the SEC. It's definitely.
Well, he loves the SEC.
Not a Ponzi scheme.
You just don't clap back. Go ahead. Say what you're going to say.
Well, I just wanted to, because we heard the calls from Benny Mac over the weekend there, and like clearly a super emotional run for him and that entire team. As I think even Matt Schick gave him a little shout out when the tournament field came out, gave him the Nebraska Sharpie, kind of the double meaning there. It was like that was a pretty cool moment. It was pretty cool to listen and to watch Ben kind of on social media like talk through everything. He's been pretty open about how tough this season has been and kind of how special some of these moments have been. So you kind of just feel for him on that level outside of a baseball thing.
100%.
And yeah, especially like, I like Benny Mac a lot. I don't know him like you do, obviously, but like I've got an affinity for him. Like you can tell, I don't know if I see a little bit of myself in him where like he's kind of snarky and kind of, but like there's a part of him that like really feels for things like this. And like, I don't know, I'm happy he lets us peek behind the curtain a little bit and see what he's going through.
Yeah, that I think it's kind of one of his superpowers.
Yeah.
Right? Because he has this unique ability to, sometimes he can come across like he's keeping you at arm's distance, but he's really not.
Yeah.
I mean, you'll get in there and when you do, but I think for him, it was just it's just a crazy magical ride. And I think he wanted those guys to win so bad.
Oh yeah.
Just so bad. And I'm not gonna do this to myself. I'm gonna keep it moving, but I'm just saying like I'm extremely happy for him and the network and Coach Bolt.
Because that baseball team especially was particularly close to Greg.
Yep.
And they had that, they had the patch last year when he started going through this, and like they obviously had a close relationship with him.
And Coach Bolt kind of let it. It just managing the emotions, I think, was pretty cool. So I'm all in.
And I think challenging throughout the year too, right? Like that was
very much so.
Very,
very much so.
And that's I think one of the things that maybe we didn't give enough credit and credence to in the moment.
It's just a heck of a run.
Yeah, just unbelievable, unbelievable.
It's just typical. That was the most Nebraska thing ever.
Yeah,
was to just sack up.
Yeah,
and figure it out. And again, I get it. It took it. You needed a little help.
We're 2 inches on a glove away from
But that's how
baseball goes.
That's how sports go, man.
Especially baseball.
Sometimes
baseball's weird.
You need a little health luck. You need a lot of things have to go your way to make postseason runs. It just doesn't.
And guess what? Nobody's really going to remember in a couple years.
Yeah,
how they won the Big Ten 2 years in a row. It's like, oh, hey, back-to-back Big Tens. That's nice.
It's crazy. And now I don't know what you do. I know some Nebraska baseball fans DM'd about does this mean that they're not making any changes? I don't know if they were. I mean, you'd have to probably take a good hard look. Had the season ended,
differently
with 2 in the queue in the Big Ten tournament or 1-1 or whatever. But I don't.
I know there's been some
way above my pay grade.
I know there's been some frustration with Childress and the way the pitchers haven't really come along the way you want them to. And listen, that's part of my. Like the way they go about.
Don't tell that to Drew Christo.
I know, but the way they go about their approach to pitching, like you have to have. I think some of your guys have to have a little bit better stuff for it to work that way, right? Like working backwards, trying to locate the breaking ball and then work off of it to get your fastball. And I understand the philosophy. I don't know if the guys he currently have, the guys they currently have, are quite – I don't know if they're quite good enough to execute that at a super high level consistently. And I think that's why you saw a lot of the variance we got with them this year.
Yeah.
It's a tricky thing to pull off. And if you don't have high-end stuff, like it can be pretty rough.
Yeah.
Working backwards, like there's a reason it's called working backwards, right? It's hard to do, and not very many people can manage it. If you can, it's great, but I do wonder, what discussions will be had in the off season.
It's going to be an interesting roster coming back. It's kind of almost the antithesis of softball, where you lose squad. I think you lose two, but the majority of that deal is intact. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
With I was tongue in cheek. I was a little worried about guys like Nunez.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, shoot. Hopefully that's enough to keep him out of the portal.
Positive vibes going into it.
Yeah, because it was a weird season, and the utilization. They have a lot of guys like that, and baseball is just volatile by nature.
Mm-hmm. And it's been volatile for a lot longer than some of these other sports.
100%.
Yeah.
And now just the freedom of movement has made it
even worse,
even a lot more complex. So
especially with the money in some of the other conferences,
I'm hoping they make a run.
Yeah, it'd be nice to get a couple wins.
Yeah, and you know what? I'll keep it a buck. I don't have any problems if they do it at North Carolina's expense.
Yeah.
So
absolutely,
I'll wear one of their gear.
But you're not wearing hats no matter what.
Nah, I keep those.
A hat guy.
I keep those.
You have a display? What do you do with them?
So they're just in like a couple of long boxes.
Okay.
And
you don't even have them out?
Mm-mm.
All right. It's a little weird.
So there's one I have out.
Okay.
It's on the edge of my bed. It has like a little sitting rest.
Mm-hmm.
And it's Stanley.
Okay.
Because it has the orange Mustang.
Yeah, it's a big Mustangs guy.
And it's just
it's a cool hat.
I like the logo.
It's a good hat, yeah.
Well, it keeps them nicer. I mean, they're not getting dirty. They're not getting dusty.
There's one on the top of my closet that's I'm forgetting the team. It's actually Coach Lavik's it's got the big corn cob.
Oh, the Nebraska Prospects.
Yeah, it's red, white, and blue.
Those things are sick. I've seen a few of those.
Yeah. So he used to give me one every year.
Really?
Yeah. So I have like 3 or 4.
Their gear is elite.
I know.
I've got.
And I get it. It's taboo. We're talking Legion versus prospects, and people are. I don't want to poo-poo it. I know it's easy to shrug it off. Folks are pretty passionate about that.
So that's one of those things that unless you're in it,
it doesn't
seems pretty silly from the outside.
Yeah, but it ain't.
And I get that there's valid reasons or whatever on both ends of it, but I do think it's one of those things that like from the outside looking in, you're like, why are they mad about it?
Yeah.
But it's fine. All I do know is the Nebraska Prospects gear is sick. Like I wish the University of Nebraska had some of the gear that Nebraska Prospects have. It's incredible.
It's nice.
Nice. Speaking about
not being nice.
Well,
how'd you like to be an adult and just get slapped down at the table like that?
Well, I mean, are the ACC and the Big 12 really adults in this conversation?
See, who are you, Sankey Spawn?
No, but I'm just saying, like, they're at the kid table of the college football playoff discussion.
Okay, well,
they are.
Don't say anything if Clemson wins the national title.
I mean, they're not going to. It's fine.
I don't know.
You like Clemson a lot more than I do.
It's a good football team.
That's fine. I've been honest about this. They are good. I just don't like Dabo as like personally.
Yeah.
Not that he's bad at his job.
He's great at his job.
They might be very good this year. They might win a national title this year. I will be rooting against them, not just because they're conference rivals with Florida State, but also because I think Dabo is a self-righteous D-bag.
And if they win, they're gonna have a heck of a success story at quarterback.
Yeah, because Klubnik was left for dead.
They stayed with Klubnik.
Yeah, Klubnik was left for dead.
He was the poster child, and then they splashed him in, and he got DJ to leave, and then he didn't have the follow-up season.
Mm-hmm.
He just progressively kept getting
better. Just got a little better.
And now I don't know if you'd call him elite, but you have a very, very, very good OC.
Mm.
And he was a great hire a year ago. I mean, Adam McClintock, those guys were like, hey, DB, I'm vibing with you. This is a heck of an upgrade.
Yeah.
And Clemson's gonna be good, man. Like that's a good football team. I would probably put them they're firmly in my top 3.
Ooh, okay. So Ohio State?
Reluctantly.
Okay.
I wish I knew more at quarterback.
I mean, I think they wish they knew more at quarterback too.
I think they feel good.
Yeah, but they still don't know anything. They haven't seen it. You know what I mean? Like, it's the thing Coach Rule said. Like, yeah, you can feel great, but until it's out there, you have no idea.
Yeah, what did he say? His wording was incredible. This was on the heels of going with Harburg.
Sims.
Over Sims when I felt like Sims was maybe – I intimated that he was healthy enough to go.
Yeah.
And Coach Rule said, that's the thing about quarterbacks. You just don't know until they're out there. How guys receive them in the huddle, and we're going with Harburg.
Yeah, you just have no idea.
I was like, all right, we're going with H2.
So I guess as good as they feel about saying, I'm sure, like, you don't know until it's out there, right? How many high-end prospects have we seen? I mean, talk about Klubnik. Like, it took him a while to figure it out. And that's not to say that Sayan's going to not be good long-term, but you know what it is this year.
And you know what's funny is the Big 12 and the ACC could have a couple of party crashers. I would be careful.
What do you like? Who do you like in the ACC besides Clemson?
Nobody really.
Okay. Because you're not a Miami guy.
This is supposed to be their year.
If it's not, I don't know when it is, right?
I like Miami as a school,
right?
I mean, they have 3 or 4 of my favorite 10 running backs.
Yeah.
And they have my favorite player that has never really played for a team I love.
Who's that?
And it's not close. It is not close. Sean Taylor.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I knew you were a big Clinton Portis guy.
Yeah. It is not.
Sean Taylor.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Huge. Sean Taylor's one of my top. He's one of my favorite people in any sport.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you're not buying. You're not buying. You're not a Cristobal guy though.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
I'm not.
Yeah. I get that.
And I guess if you're going to pay the alleged number, whatever was being paid, I don't know if I believe the $4 million for Beckett and the NIL market. I just don't like how they build relationships. Like, I know how they've done some of the NIL deals, and it is very throw money at it. Yeah, and I can speak to that factually.
Yeah, they just throw money at a situation.
So guys have gotten worse on their watch.
Yeah.
Like good players that they've gotten. I mean, check with the fan base. They'll tell you the same thing.
What is
so
that,
maybe Miami.
What is that team last year without Cam Ward?
In trouble.
Pretty bad, right? I mean, like 500.
And in trouble, right?
Because they danced through raindrops with him.
I mean,
how many?
He saved their proverbial bacon.
Virginia Tech. There was 3 games like in a row. It was like Virginia Tech. I want to say Duke.
So the Virginia Tech game, I remember watching.
Because that's the toe tap in the back. Yeah, that was
a Friday night.
Yeah, that was a toe tap in the back of the end zone.
Yeah, I was.
Like, they should have lost that game. I think they did lose that game, but they couldn't overturn the call.
Yeah.
Right? There was that one. I think it was Duke, and then there was one more, like, right in a row, or like 3 and 4 weeks.
Duke likes their quarterback.
With Mensa.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know that the rest of the roster is good enough.
Wait, hey, Shane, you know what's coming up is you got to reach out to Phil Still because he'll do the tour. I think that thing drops on the 4th.
Oh, does it? Of June?
Yeah.
Oh, that's about right. It is June every year, isn't it?
I don't know why the 4th sticks out in my brain.
I've been seeing on Twitter he's on the tour, like he's going.
I want to say June 4th. I do. But I don't love anybody in the ACC, but that's part of the reason why I like Clemson, even though Clemson's schedule it's manageable.
Yeah. I mean, most teams' schedule in the ACC is going to be manageable.
Keep saying that.
It is. Like, it's not the Big Ten or SEC. Like, if Clemson's playing in the Big Ten or the SEC, we probably feel differently about their schedule.
So what's 10 days from now?
10 days from now is...
So just an hour ago, he said 10 days till magazine goes to press.
Let's see, 6th?
Okay. So
it goes to press the 6th. So it probably won't be out for another week or so after that. Because they got to print it.
Yeah, you got to push back.
Seems early. I think before he was in July.
Stop it.
Well, I'm looking back at the old emails.
Oh,
maybe it does. Maybe it is July that it actually comes out. I don't know how long it takes at the printer.
I don't.
But
I don't peruse.
I'll send a filler out.
The magazine stands in grocery stores.
Yeah,
I probably should.
Usually
because there's somebody or two already over there, and it always looks like a creeper.
What do we got going on here?
This doesn't. I don't know what a quote unquote regular person looks like. But they don't look like regular people.
Checking out the National Enquirer, stuff like that.
I'm like, yeah, I ain't going over there.
So I don't really peruse magazine stands. I just go purposefully one time a year to go get my Phil Steele.
Yeah.
And
I usually get all. There's 3 that I get. I usually get them at once.
I get
Athlon,
the Big Ten specific one from Athlon. I get the Phil Steele one. I usually get an NFL one. I think that's it.
I don't get any of the NFLs.
Really?
NFL is pretty easy. The rosters are so small.
Sometimes I just like having it all in one place.
Unless you're a fantasy guy.
Yeah, some of it's fantasy, but I like having it all in one place too.
Ouch.
Where it's just like, hey, right in front of me.
Yeah, so I got to get back to Sankey, though, because the teams that I think, Clemson will be a player.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's some combination of, a K-State, an Iowa State, a BYU. Like somebody's going to be a fly in the ointment. Arizona State.
Like you like Utah this year?
No.
Okay.
I mean, I like Utah to do Utah things.
But not
it's a 7-8 win team.
Yeah,
but
not to be a problem.
The best team in that team in that state is BYU.
Did you say Arizona State?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, so I would be careful.
I mean,
and maybe they'll cannibalize each other.
I think the Big 12 is in a better spot to be a problem than the ACC. Personally,
although the ACC has
the best team.
The best team.
I would agree. I think they have more good teams in the. I think there's more good teams.
I mean, quietly, like if I'm really.
I mean, you like SMU's chances again?
I do a little bit, but I don't love them at the quarterback like everybody else does.
Yeah.
It drives me up the wall.
I'm not a huge fan there.
But again, a year in the system, and they have a really good coach.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to count SMU out. I'm not going to count SMU out either. But
I'm not really. I mean, I like Rhett Lashley a lot. I'm not a big Jennings guy.
He's got a lot. So the next step he's got to take is you have to take the gimmies.
Yeah, I was gonna say he doesn't do enough of the easy stuff consistently.
Got to take the gimmies.
That I don't feel great about it, but I do. Like we said, even though Clemson's the best of these teams, I like my chances with Arizona State, Iowa State, BYU, Kansas State, probably better than I do with just Clemson.
So was your problem with Sankey that he comes across as?
No, here's my problem with Sankey.
The best interest of the sport, but it's really about 2 conferences?
Well, there's
because you realize if they come to power,
yeah,
they're definitely at some point they're going to try to
leave everybody else out,
including the Big Ten. And I think, in my opinion,
you think so?
Kind of.
I don't think they're big enough on their own.
They won't be, but I'm telling you,
they may try.
They'll pee in the sandbox.
Well, I think they're trying to pee in the sandbox right now, because here's what I think is happening. The way this is, because I don't think he's actually mad. I think he's sort of grandstanding a little bit, because this is how I see this playing out. Is behind the scenes they were talking about.
I hate the automatic qualification. I'm not going to give you any pushback yet, but you know how I feel about AQs.
Yeah,
I haven't liked it from the jump.
So here's what I think,
and I'm staunch in that. This was before it was. This is when it was 4.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm like, hey man, AQs suck.
Here's what I think he's doing right now, and this is why I'm mad at him. And it's smart for his conference, and it's smart for him to do, but it's going to end up in a way that I think is stupid. It's bad for the sport. Is he's positioning this thing like they don't want everything that is already coming with it, right? It was reported like 2 weeks ago before the meeting started that the SEC wanted 16 and they wanted 4 automatic qualifiers. Well, now he's talking about I don't know about 16, and well, maybe why don't we get 5 automatic qualifiers? And he's starting to push back on the things that he wanted, asking for more, because here's where it's going to land. He's going to concede to the 4 automatic qualifiers and 16 teams in order to not have to go to 9 conference games.
That's
how he's playing this, and it's smart for him to do. I understand that. But he's playing it so that he's going to get the things he wanted in the first place, 16 teams. And
so you're cool with them just getting their $8 million per and divvying that up for the teams that get in, at the risk of not being paid by the network for the 9th conference game.
Yeah, that's where
I wonder what that number is, because you're going to leave it on the table if you don't go to 9.
Yeah, because right now I looked at the numbers. They don't have. The fiscal numbers I saw were for 23-24, not for 24-25. So this was before the Big Ten expansion. And The last numbers I had, actually, the Big Ten was a little ahead of the SEC.
The 75 mil?
Because,
Or it was
8,
60. So this past one was like in the low 60s.
Yeah.
Next year,
you're
talking mid-70s.
Because the new deal hadn't kicked in last year. But so I was looking at because I was looking at tax filing, so it was the year before, and it was like 880 for the Big Ten. It was 808 for the SEC. So
like a kick drum?
Yep, like 808s and heartbreaks, like Kanye. It's your guy.
Not my guy. Not my guy.
But so the Big Ten's actually ahead, so they're giving up $70 million or whatever that is, $72 million for that. I mean, that's basically comes down to the ninth conference game. So what he's basically betting on is, hey, I'm going to get my 4 AQs, because they're still eligible for, at that point, they're still eligible for the at-large spots, aren't they?
Yeah.
So he's going to bet that, hey, based on having 8 conference games, I can get a 5th team in more often than not, and that'll make up the money. And he might not be wrong.
I don't listen. At first blush, I don't see it, but anything is definitely doable. 5 seems like a lot.
Yeah,
5 seems like a lot.
But if you're sitting here and you go, okay, I've got 4 Big Ten teams automatically in. I've got 4 SEC teams automatically in. And if we get to this point where we already tend to dismiss, I mean, you're going to have your one non-power conference qualifier. You're not getting more than one. You're going to have 3 teams. One of them's probably Notre Dame on the way their trajectory is going right now. More years than not, it's probably going to be Notre Dame. And then you got 2 spots. I don't think they're going to get, because the ACC and Big 12 are both in line to get 2. So you sit here and you go, okay, are either is the 3rd place team in the Big 12, the 3rd place team in the or the ACC better than the 5th place team in the SEC or the 5th place team in the Big 10? And the committee, because of what those conferences are, I don't think they're gonna buy that very often. So he's like, hey, I got a 50-50 shot on any given year, and if I continue to propagate this SEC Ponzi scheme nonsense, I like my chances to get my 15 minutes.
I think so. I think the SEC has to be careful because everybody's top 4 quarterbacks in the conference.
Mm-hmm.
Well, first of all, my supposition is you got to be really good at the quarterback spot to give yourself a chance.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk about the top 4 quarterbacks in the SEC.
Okay.
Agree or disagree, in whatever order you like them.
Okay.
Sellers, Lagway, Nussmeier, Manning.
I think some people would probably throw Mateer in there.
Okay. Throw Mateer in there.
I'd probably throw Mateer in over Lagway at this point, just on track record.
Okay.
But some combination of that.
So let's say that's a combination of the 5.
Yeah.
Which one of those guys are you like, oh, yeah, like it's
over the moon about?
That's national title worthy.
Mm.
So that's why I think you have to be careful.
Yeah. I mean, Nussmeier's probably the closest just because I know the most.
Well, I would probably say,
but I'm not enamored.
And they had a good portal year, but it's LSU.
Yeah.
And for whatever the reason, even though you got a 2-time coach of the year, it hasn't clicked.
Mm-hmm. The fit's been awkward with Brian Kelly.
Like I mean, he can clearly coach.
Yeah, I don't know if that's a good spot for him.
So it's like, okay.
So you don't love the LSU thing. I think Nussmeier is the quarterback we know the most about. I don't know if that's the team I consider the best national championship contender.
Manning may have the best cast.
Yeah, Texas is definitely the best situation of those quarterbacks.
But he's still unproven. We went through his snaps.
Yeah, we have no
a couple
idea.
Weeks ago.
We have no idea. He's thrown 100 passes in his career.
So we're banking on the fact that those guys are going to maximize, and it's not.
You don't
listen,
know.
I don't want to make it seem like it's a crapshoot, but
you really don't know.
I mean, Lagway, Sellers, Mateer, Manning, and Nussmeier.
I mean, you named 4 guys I don't particularly love. Or 3 guys I don't particularly
3 I know you don't.
3 guys I don't particularly love. 1 that's a total unknown, but I'm higher on than you in Manning. And then Nussmeier.
I'm not down on him. I'm just saying.
You're not taking it for granted.
No.
And then Nussmeier, who I think is good, but I'm not blown away by. Right?
Yeah.
And then, okay, so you want to do the same exercise in the Big Ten?
Yeah, because 2 of the guys you're going to put at the top, I think you like a lot.
Well, I mean, I like Dylan.
You're
not even putting him in there? Okay.
I mean, I can't.
Okay.
I
was just asking.
The 2 you have to start with are the batteries. You got to go with the AA batteries.
Yeah.
Altmaier, and Aller.
100%.
You have to start there.
Very high on both of them. I'll take Aller over Nussmeier. Yeah? Fair or no?
Fair.
I think it's
fair.
Yeah, I think I take Aller over Nussmeier. And I'll take Altmaier over.
Who just did a top 10?
Matier?
Listen, I think Klatt just did a top 10
in the Big Ten.
Yeah. No. Top
Overall,
quarterbacks
in the country.
He did.
Okay.
I knew I saw this because Cedric Gold tweeted this out because this was in the Austin American Statesman, and it was Steve Holly that did it for the College Sports Wire. So Klatt's top 10.
Mm-hmm.
Ready?
Yeah.
Carson Beck.
Nationwide.
Yep. Okay. Nationwide. Carson Beck. And
we did this last year.
Okay, listen though. My point is not in the conference. He's not in either one of the two conferences we're talking about. So Beck at 10.
Okay.
Luke Altmaier at 9. Surprised he's getting.
I'm surprised he's getting that much love, but I don't think it's inappropriate.
But I can dig it.
Yeah, I don't think it's inappropriate.
Sellers at 8. Lagway at 7.
We're doing a lot with those two guys.
Hey, listen.
We're doing a lot with those two guys.
Let me just get.
Okay, go ahead. Sorry. I'm sorry.
Oh.
We're just doing a lot with those two guys.
Nussmeier at 6.
Okay.
Aller at 5.
Okay.
Levitt at 4.
Okay, people like Levitt a lot.
Matier at 3.
That's bonkers.
Arch Manning at 2.
We don't even know if.
And of course, Cade Klubnik at 1. It's fine.
We're doing a lot with those SEC guys. We're doing a lot.
All right, let's go.
Like if the SEC, listen. If the SEC is that much better than everybody else, we just think Matier's not going to have a problem adjusting. We just think it's going to be cool. Like everybody tells me, right?
We're probably only there. I'm sure other people have done it, but I mean locally, like we've gotten inside his games and been opponent specific.
Yeah.
He has not
tears up bad opponents.
He has not been good against good teams.
And you know what people tell me is that there's no easy weeks in the SEC. So where are his numbers going to come from? He was playing at Washington, like he was tearing up like UC Davis and Cal Poly last year.
By the way, Cal Poly could be
a little thorn in the side in baseball regionals a little bit.
And they're in Eugene too, aren't they? Yeah, I think Cal Poly's in Eugene.
So yeah.
But anyway,
I'm just
random.
I'm just sitting here and I go, okay. We've got
what was so upset. I was just trying to tell you.
No,
about
I know.
Sankey making the point for 5 teams, but you're banking on quarterbacks and 3. There's a lot of unknowns.
Yeah, there's a lot of unknowns. You're talking about. I mean,
think 5 is a wild assumption.
I know, but I also think the SEC is wildly arrogant, and I think they believe that.
Okay.
They believe their own hype. They have to.
You do need a couple of other good teams, though. Like, you need Miami to be good. You need K-State, Iowa State, Arizona State.
Arch Manning's thrown 95 passes.
No, I know. Listen,
in his career.
I said it last week. Look at his rushes. What's he got, 20?
He's got 28 rushing attempts.
Yeah, believe me,
He's played like 130 snaps.
I've looked at this.
That's barely 2 games worth of snaps.
And Sellers has a very, very, very dangerous playing style.
Yes.
Now, he is a monster physically.
He is.
But that style does not lend itself to longevity
also
in this gauntlet of a conference.
Let's not pretend.
Although I do like South Carolina's talent.
I'm not putting
them in the playoffs.
Well, no, I know, but like, where do you like them in reference to the rest of the SEC?
Middle of the pack.
So that's kind of my point, right?
Yeah.
Like, unless like to play that style safely, and by safely I mean just like navigating the whole season, like you probably need to be a little better than middle of the pack to protect that guy and to make sure, because that's the other thing is I don't know how, like he's going to have phenomenal games, right? He's going to have highlights and he's going to do things that you're like, holy crap.
So is the part that's pissing you off is they get credit for reaching their ceiling, but assuming they reach their ceiling, but Dylan doesn't?
Yeah, Lagway's,
I get it.
Lagway's the one that pisses me off the most because at least Sellers was a little more productive last year. Not a lot, but a little
just
more
dynamic with his legs.
Yeah, more dynamic with his legs. The passing really is not that different than Dylan, but a little more dynamic with his legs. And so he gets the benefit of the doubt. Lagway gets the benefit of the doubt when the numbers are almost identical, except for I think Dylan's passing numbers are a little bit better. And so we're just assuming.
Certainly his accuracy is.
Yeah, for better than both of them. But so we're just assuming that Lagway is going to reach his ceiling, and Sellers is going to reach his ceiling, and Archie Manning is going to reach his ceiling, and that John Mateer, going from Washington State playing a bunch of bums last year and tearing it up against a bunch of bums last year, is going to reach his ceiling in what's supposed to be the hardest conference in the world. I can't turn a corner without people telling me about SEC defensive lines, right?
And Nussmeier, you have a fair amount of sample size, and I still don't think you love him.
No, he's pretty good, but I don't think they're talking about him as a potential number 1 overall pick next year, and I don't think he's that. Yeah. You know, I look at him and I go, hey, that's a good college quarterback. He probably gets drafted, probably goes in the first round, but I'm not betting my franchise on that guy. And I also don't trust Brian Kelly's fit at LSU, even though I know he's a really good coach. It's been awkward down there, and I can't really put my finger on why the whole time, right? So I'm sitting here and I go, okay, the one guy that I know is good is Nussmeier, and he's the one whose coaching situation I trust the least. And then I go, maybe not the least, but I have real questions. Not the least, but I have real questions about the fit and how that works. Because
and Kelly is notoriously hard on his quarterbacks.
And they probably should have been better than they have been his entire time down there.
Correct.
Right? So I don't really know.
That's the thing.
Yeah, I don't really know.
That's where I would land.
I don't know they've underachieved under Brian Kelly, right? So I don't know what to do with it. And then I go, okay, so I'm supposed to sit here and I know Drew Aller's good. I know he's good. I know Altmaier's great in his system. And I'm sitting here and I go, okay, so I go Aller, Altmaier, 1-2, no question. Feel great there. Already.
Because of proven production.
Yeah, because of track record. They've actually done it.
Mm-hmm.
The only guy that's actually done
Aller's stats are scary.
Really good.
Without us being able to name one legit outside the numbers wide receiver.
Their receivers have been terrible.
I mean, it was Warren.
Yeah, that was it. And they had to force feed him. Like, his numbers have been really, really good for a team that doesn't really
takes care of the football.
It's a little Andrew Lucky, if I'm being honest. The way that he did it at Stanford without any weapons that you were crazy about.
Yeah.
Like, you go, oh, hey, he's got really good numbers for a guy that I don't think any of these guys are going to the NFL.
I may have to get over some of my Andrew Luck murk.
You don't like him?
I don't love him.
Okay.
And I never have.
In the NFL, I think he was...
I never have.
He was underwhelming compared to what he was supposed to be. But in college, he was really, really good, and he put up very similar numbers to Drew Aller in, I think, a similar situation in terms of talent around him. But I'm sitting here and I go, okay, I've got all these guys that have zero proven track record. And then I've got two guys that I know for sure in this conference have been productive and really, really good. Have been productive and have won.
Mm-hmm.
Where I don't have any of that with anyone outside of Nussmeier in the SEC. No one. Not Manning, not Mateer, not Lagway, not Sellers. I don't have any of those guys that have won and produced in the conference that they're in. Doesn't that matter at some point? If we're making lists and assumptions and things like that, like, shouldn't you go by the data you have available? Because we don't get down to guys until like Mendoza that we're making assumptions about the way we are with Mateer, where we should be having to make assumptions with Mateer. Or a Dante Moore, where we go, hey, yeah, he was like.
Isn't Mendoza a better fit at Indiana than Mateer at Oklahoma? Or am I misreading that?
I mean, maybe they're making the assumption because the OC came with him. Or he came with the OC. I don't know which is which.
I don't know, man. I'll ride with Cignetti.
Yeah, that's fine. And I've made arguments to why I don't think it's quite as good of a fit as Rourke was.
That's interesting. I have to get back into like the deeper dive on why Mateer over
Mendoza.
Well,
and like, okay,
because I get the Sellers and Lagway thing.
Why Dante Moore or why Lagway over Dante Moore? When Dante Moore started as a true freshman, he had almost identical numbers to DJ Lagway. Almost identical. Now, he took the year to sit and learn behind Dylan Gabriel. Is that it? That's the only reason that we're given the assumption?
Okay, so let me
to Lagway over Dante Moore.
So, what's the difference between, for you, assuming that Dylan will improve, but other teams won't with similar quarterbacks? Or you think you're arguing that it seems like the perception is we already think those teams are going to improve.
Yeah, we assume they are going to improve.
Because of the prowess of how people feel about them nationally, not necessarily you specifically.
Yeah, correct.
Because I don't want to hear two things.
No,
right?
I understand.
I don't want to hear Nebraska get the benefit. I don't want to make it seem like
you
I'm
don't want it to
two.
go the other way, right? You don't want.
I don't want. I don't want to hear. I don't want to hear you be saying, "Well, Nebraska gets to get the benefit of the doubt. We'll get best case scenario."
Nobody else does.
But nobody else does.
Yeah, I'm not saying these guys won't be good. My confusion is why do they get an assumption that Nebraska doesn't?
Gotcha.
Right? DJ Lagway, I assume he's going to get better. I do. I don't think he's going to be the best quarterback in the country. I don't know if he's going to be a top 10 quarterback in the country. That's where I'm kind of getting a little dicey on. But he gets this assumption that he will be a top, 8?
Mm-hmm.
He's going to be a top 8 quarterback in the country.
Lagway was, he was.
There's 7, or Sellers was 8?
Sellers was.
Somewhere in that neighborhood.
They were back to back.
That these guys
8-7. And this is class.
Yeah.
I mean, he watches enough football.
Yeah, he knows what he's talking about.
Sellers 8, Lagway 7.
So you're telling me this guy's going to be a top 7 quarterback in the country? That's the assumption we're making about Lagway nationally. The Royal we making about
Florida was much better last year than anyone thought. I mean, we were on Napier Firewatch,
especially down the stretch.
Yeah.
But if you look at their season, not an unsimilar season to Nebraska in terms of how they finished.
You know, for the rushing prowess of Sellers, and I get it for the dumb reason you have to count
a lot.
Sacks.
Lagway's the same way.
He was still only 4-1 a tote.
I think Lagway's like 4-3. I'll look it up. I'm pretty sure Lagway's like 4-3.
That's like Tebow career rushing numbers.
Yeah, which I know you're a huge fan of.
Dude, I think he's a career 4-5 guy.
I believe you're right. Lagway was at 4-1 last year.
Okay, that sounds about right.
Or no, not Lagway. Sellers was at 4-1 last year. I'm looking up Lagway now. But that's my issue is we assume DJ Lagway is going to turn into best case scenario, top 7 quarterback in the country. And I think Dylan is 7th in the conference in the rankings that I'm looking at. Oh, God, I give Lagway way too much credit.
12-9 touchdowns, interceptions?
No, I meant on rushing yards. Yards per attempt? What do you think Lagway was at?
You got to count sacks?
Everything.
He's in the 3s.
2-0. Flat.
Hmm.
He had 100 total rushing yards last year, out including sacks, but 101 rushing yards last year. This is the guy that we think is so much more dynamic with his feet. And listen, I get that athletically he's got a different skill set than Dylan. But that's what we're basing it on?
So going through all of this,
we're basing it on 12-9, sub 60% completion percentage, and 2 yards per carry. That's what we're basing this on. That's the top 7 quarterback in the country. We can make that leap. We can make that assumption.
The more I process through this, and I didn't know we were going here this morning.
I didn't either.
But I like Manning's situation the best.
For sure. Talent-wise and coach-wise.
And I don't even know if he's as talented, and I use that term loosely, from an upside standpoint as whatever they feel about Sellers or Lagway.
I don't know.
I think he's in the best situation. Now, my second best situation may surprise you.
He did have twice the rushing yards per attempt that Lagway did.
Who, Manning?
Manning was at 4.3.
He's a good athlete.
He is a really good athlete.
He's a good athlete.
I don't think we give him enough credit for having the athletic upside that some of these guys do.
Do you know who I think's too?
Who?
Because I like their wideouts.
Situationally?
Yeah.
In the SEC?
Yep.
Who?
Nussmeier.
Yeah.
Because he at least plays. I don't think he's got elite arm talent.
No.
I don't, but he
knows what he's doing, though.
Ball's coming out on time.
He knows what he's doing.
He's
good. He's a good quarterback.
But I do think we got to turn the corner in terms of crunch time play.
But I don't
his crunch time play.
I don't trust that situation with Brian
I think he's
Kelly
probably
currently.
second.
Oh, I think
and
so.
I don't love him.
I don't either. So that's what we're talking about. We're talking about two guys that we don't know about Arch, and B, we're not enamored with Nussmeier. And then we've got a bunch of dudes that we're making huge assumptions about. Like, I don't think people appreciate how large of an assumption we're making on Mateer.
That's the one that pissed you off.
Yes. Because if the SEC is what everybody tells me it is, this dude has never played in that conference. He played like half of an FCS schedule last year.
I know.
And you're telling me an Oklahoma team that has already struggled with the transition to the SEC is just going to be, it's all going to be great? Like, maybe it will, but I'm supposed to believe there's no learning curve. There's no bumps in the road there. We are making huge assumptions about Mateer. I can at least sort of get it with Lagway and Sellers especially, right? He's seen the conference. He started a whole year. Like, that guy, like, the numbers were still pretty good. Like, that guy, I sort of understand why we're making the assumption there. I think we might be over-assuming a little, but I kind of get it. Even Lagway, to a certain extent, at least he played in this conference last year. If the SEC is what everybody wants me to believe it is, then Mateer should struggle this year.
So Oklahoma's got Illinois State and Michigan at home. Then they go to Temple. They get Auburn at home.
Okay.
They get Kent State at home. I mean, they could easily be.
The schedule is not daunting on the front end.
They could be 5-0 before you blink.
I don't know what the back end is.
They get Texas.
Neutral site, right?
Neutral site.
Yeah.
Then they go to Columbia. They get Ole Miss in Norman. You go to Knoxville, to Tuscaloosa, Missouri at home, LSU at home. It's not like, damn.
I mean, the back half's pretty rough.
But at least you get them at the house.
Yeah.
I mean, you're in Knoxville and in Alabama in consecutive games, but not consecutive weeks. So you're at Knoxville on the 1st.
And then you got the 15th.
Then you're off.
Yeah.
And then you go to Tuscaloosa on the 15th.
You're still probably catching L's at both of those.
It ain't. But then you come back with Mizzou and LSU at the house.
I mean, if Nussmeier's who he's supposed to be.
I mean, would you be shocked if they were 5-0 going into Texas?
Give me the first 5 again.
Illinois State.
Okay.
Michigan. At Temple. Auburn at home. Kent State. Now, I will say this, and I'm not saying it's a win because it is in Norman. Auburn is my sleeper team in the SEC.
Yeah, I think Auburn's going to be tricky. I also think, I mean, it wouldn't shock me if they're 5-0, but I gave that Oklahoma game to Michigan.
Oh, I know.
So, like, it wouldn't shock me if they lose that one, obviously. But they could. It's at home. They could easily win that.
It's not daunting.
It's not the front half. I think the back half's pretty rough.
I mean, but it's the SEC. You ain't getting gimmies.
I know, but that's my.
I mean, Vandy's they're all.
That's my point about Mateer, though. There's no gimmies on that schedule. Like, you're gonna throw Michigan at him, his second game in big boy football. Okay, good luck. Like, there's no Cal Polys on that schedule, bud. I mean, Illinois State, whatever. But that's I don't understand why we're just assuming Mateer is a guy. I don't know why we're just assuming. Like, they couldn't figure it out with Anthony Richardson down in Florida. Why are they going to figure it out with DJ Lagway?
I know.
They
did play better down the stretch.
They did, but his numbers are still what they are.
I know.
Like, he led them to more wins, and that's great. But like, he still performed how he performed, right? He still doesn't complete he's not accurate enough. He doesn't complete the ball at a high enough percentage. He's not nearly as dynamic as his legs as we make him out to be, or at least he wasn't last year, right? Like, I get that it can look a certain way, but the results are what they are. And the results with Lagway last year were not incredible. They were fine. And we're now assuming that he's the 7th best quarterback in the country. And by the same token, we are assuming, let me bring up the list here because I've got it in front of me. By the same token, now these are different people making the rankings. I understand this. But 24/7 has Dylan Raiola as the 6th best quarterback in the Big Ten. And you've got DJ Lagway as the 7th best quarterback in the country. Like, that's where I'm having a problem. We're making assumptions about these guys that we have no more information on than we do on Dylan.
Okay, so ahead of Dylan, I'm just doing this.
Yeah, just guess. Yeah, you haven't looked at this.
Aller.
Yes.
Altmaier.
Yep.
Mendoza.
Yep.
Whomever's taking snaps at Ohio State.
Yep. They've got Sayin.
Is that 4?
Yep.
And he's 6th? It's one of the California kids. No? Oh, Dante Moore.
It is Dante Moore. Which, again, making some assumptions about. He's 4th. They've got Dante Moore 4th.
4, 6, 8.
They've got.
You know what's funny?
They've got Sayin.
Let me ask you something.
Go ahead.
So the top 5 in the SEC.
Mm-hmm.
Do you like the top 5 in the Big Ten better?
That wouldn't be my top 5.
No. Like, let's say let's
flip whoever I want.
Yeah, move Dylan in or somebody out. You like the top 5 in the Big Ten better? You may not love the upside as much because the one upside guy is Dylan. I think you know who Altmaier is, and I think you know who Aller is. So your top 2, you kind of know what you're getting, but no more than Nussmeier.
No. And I think you've got to.
You do know what you're getting with Nussmeier.
And there's not a second Nussmeier in.
No, everybody else
SEC.
is kind of a leap of faith.
Everybody else is a leap of faith. So I'll take Aller and Altmaier. And then Sayan's got upside. Raiola's got upside. Dante Moore has upside. Nico has upside. Mendoza has upside. Like, Mendoza's a 6'5", 230-pound. Like, that's a prototype guy.
And he can move a little bit.
He can move. Yeah, he actually moves really well. And especially for that big of a guy. And he can throw it. He's got a lot of arm talent. So you got upside. That's 5 guys whose upside I like there. 3 of which were 5 stars, by the way. Or 4 of which. Right? Because Sayan is 5-star. Dylan, Moore, and Nico, all 5 stars, right? So it's not like it's a pedigree thing. What are we doing? Like, all 4, like, we know, and Underwood, I haven't brought up Underwood yet, 5-star. Like, we're not doing, like, we saw more from Nico last year than we did from Lagway or Manning, right? Like, and he did it in the SEC, so I like his chances to translate to the Big Ten, even though I think there might be a cultural thing, which we disagree on, and that's fine. But, I mean, we do, and that's okay.
Yeah.
We just disagree on how that might play out.
That just did land. You're like, sticks in your craw.
Yeah. I don't like the way that happened, and I think there's people in that locker room that might not like the way it happened either, but maybe Deshaun Foster is better at navigating that than I'm giving him credit for. Like, that's entirely possible. But if in terms of just physical upside, you're telling me that you're Bryce Underwood, 5-star. Nico, 5-star. Dylan, 5-star. Sayan, 5-star. Dante Moore, 5-star. And I'm missing one. I forgot one of the other 5 stars. Like, your pedigree, we're talking about the exact same level of guy. We know more about Nico than we do about Arch, about Lagway, and I would argue about Mateer, based on conference toughness and the schedule he faced. We know the same amount about Dylan that we know more about than we do about Arch, and the same amount that we do about Lagway. We've seen Dante Moore have a full season in a power conference already.
Although 2 years ago seems like a long time.
It feels like forever ago. But he was with a not very good UCLA team and put up almost the exact same numbers that DJ Lagway put up. And I'm supposed to just assume that DJ Lagway's better? Why? Like, no one's been able to tell me why. Why am I supposed to assume that Lagway, Sellers, Manning, and Mateer are better than those guys I just named?
You know what's funny and why I ask about the top 5 in the Big Ten versus the SEC is because of the 5th spot that you were talking about Sankey navigating in his head to compensate for not taking the 9th conference game and the money from the network.
Yeah.
Whomever you think is the 5th best quarterback in either of those conferences, are they good enough to get their said team into the playoffs? That's really the conversation. That's really the conversation.
Would you be shocked if DeMond Williams is the 5th best quarterback in the Big Ten?
Shocked?
Yeah. Now, I'd be shocked if Washington made the playoff.
No, I would not. I would not be shocked if he was the 5th best quarterback.
But you'd be shocked if Washington made the playoff, but not if he was the 5th best quarterback.
Correct.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Yeah.
And he is 10th on this list. 10th. You go 10 deep on quarterbacks, you can feel pretty good about.
It's a good conference.
It's a really good conference. I mean, I have no idea what Jaden Maeva is. Full year on. I'm not a huge fan, but it wouldn't shock me if he's good under a Lincoln Riley system where he actually has a full offseason to figure out what he's doing.
Kind of tried to retool that offensive line, and they got to replace.
I liked him.
They got to replace a boatload of skill.
I liked him at UNLV.
I mean, you dropped Deuce, no pun intended.
Yeah,
he's out. You lost Branch. You got some work to do with Marks. You lost your second best running back. But the cupboard is they reloaded. It's just
all new guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. They like the talent's there. I just don't know how it's going to work. Like that's sort of always the thing with the last. I'm not always, but the last few Lincoln Riley teams is like, yeah, he's got guys in there.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going to look like.
I'll be curious. I'm going to go through this in my head and see if I can. I want to compare the 5. I'm going to take the 5 best quarterbacks in the ACC and the 5 best quarterbacks in the Big 12 because I think
it's probably closer
on,
than.
Yep, that's what I think.
See,
not a lot of difference between Avery Johnson, how we talk about some of these other guys.
I don't think that I'm sleeping on the quarterbacks. I don't know that the rest of the rosters are as good.
That's fair, but I'm going to get into it.
That's fine. We can get into that tomorrow. I'll do a little homework on Big 12 and ACC quarterbacks. You know who I'm not going to put in the top 5? The bum Florida State guy from BC. Pass. We got Mike Schaefer coming up next here on Hurrdat Sports Live.
I mean, honestly, I said this on TV, but I couldn't even get a word out in the huddle because my 3-4-year guys, Joey, Jeter, and Troy, just ran the whole huddle. And they said, it's time to go. It's time to lock in. They talked about what the Driffle kid had on the mound, and they just said they've come too far and they've worked too hard to go down like that. So Lewis drew the walk, and Tanner with the greatest bunt in the history of East baseball, and then Troy got a fastball and he didn't miss it, and you know, Joey drove him in. So that's an inning I'll remember for the rest of my life because it was a bunch of old guys doing old guy things, and we're so blessed they're on our side.
Hurrdat Sports and for Borsheims, it is our big game chain player of the game, Joey Senstock, the hero for Lincoln East, a walk-off, sacrifice fly, bottom of the 7th. Couldn't write this any better. You're under the lights near midnight here in Warner Park. I mean, this is what you've been dreaming of as a kid, right?
Yeah, absolutely. This is something every kid dreams about, and it's just so I just gotta thank the good Lord above for putting me in that situation. It was just an amazing opportunity just to be in that situation, just being able to come through with that at the right time, with the right play, just means a lot.
We also heard from some of your teammates and your coaches as well that before that moment, you enter the bottom of the 7th, down 1 run after the solo homer goes over left field. It was you and a couple of other guys that really rallied the team in that leadership moment. Walk us through what was talked about there.
Yeah, I mean, Troy Peltz first started with giving us a lot of really good speech. I probably can't say all of it because it has a lot of explicit words there, but he definitely got us going, and then me and Jeter and a lot of other seniors definitely got the other guys going, just saying that we were right to put in this situation, and just we knew that we could bring this home and get the winning run in.
A successful financial future is built one coin at a time. Whether you're just starting out or a seasoned saver, we've got the financial resources and team of experts who will be with you every step of the way. Centris Federal Credit Union. We are where you are.
Welcome to Hurrdat Sports Live.
We're back here on Hurrdat Sports Live, presented by Centrist Federal Credit Union. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla here at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill. We are joined now by Mike Schaefer, Husker 24/7. What's up, Schaefer?
Not a ton. How are we doing today, boys?
We're good. Just listened to my partner pretty much go off for 45 minutes on quarterback play in the respective conferences.
That's my bad.
I asked a very simple question, Mike J. The question was, how much money would Sankey have to make to forfeit getting paid for the 9th conference game to think that he could get 5 teams in the current playoff format? Because he seems to have backpedaled a little bit as of late, right? Are you gathering that from old Mr. Sankey?
I pretty much just assume anything that he says is only reflected in how it works for the SEC. Like I don't think there's any reason to think that he's working for you as a college football fan or cares about the greater good of the sport or anything like that. It's just about how can the SEC get the most opportunity, get the most teams in, get the most exposure, make the most money. Yeah, I mean, if he's backpedaling on stuff, that shouldn't be a surprise. I mean,
well, it just seems like he's more willing to see if he could get a 5th team in and not the extra conference game when 2 weeks ago it was, wait, how much money's on the table? And we'll talk AQs.
No, I mean, they're going to try to do whatever they can to make this Big Ten SEC and then whoever else is allowed to scrap off the, big kids table. Like that's the reality of kind of where it's all at. I mean, I'm not surprised by this. I'm not surprised if they're balking at the idea of playing 9 conference games. You can't invite a fox in the hen house and then be surprised when it's a fox. Like that's what they've been. That's what they've always been. It's what, go back to his comments on the NCAA tournament when 2 years ago he was just aghast that they would allow any non-power conference team to ever play in the NCAA tournament while Kentucky's getting put in a body bag by Oakland. I mean, so like the guy only cares. He only cares about his conference, which is probably the sole responsibility of being the SEC commissioner. I don't think it makes him a horrible person, but like we don't have to pretend like his point of view ever comes from a place that isn't heavily slanted to how does this make things better for my conference? Like we don't have to pretend like these are good actors. We don't have to pretend like everyone in society has the best interests for what's going on for college football or the greater good or whatever else. We can just acknowledge SEC honk is an SEC honk, and he's going to honk for the SEC.
So which do you think is more likely an outcome from his honking, that they'll get 4 AQs and more likely than not end up with their 5th team as an at-large, that they end up moving to 9 conference games, or that he somehow talks people into giving him 5 AQs every year?
I would imagine it's going to be 4 and then the 9. I think that's a pretty hard line drawn. I think the Big Ten at least has an equal vested interest in making sure that they get to 9 conference games. I think he's going to have a tough time talking his way into getting 5 automatic qualifiers. I don't know. They don't deserve 5 automatic qualifiers.
I think, am I the only one that hates the AQs?
I think 4 is aggressive for both conferences, to be fair. Like, I really do.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm also sort of just tired of every postseason right now just having 17 teams from the same conference as we all throw our hands up in the air. Like, oh, what an amazing conference this is. Like, what was it? 6 of the top 8 seeds yesterday in the baseball are from the SEC.
Yeah.
And they got 13 teams in, and I think their lowest seed, they have 1-3 seed. Like, are we at some point, like, beating each other shouldn't propel you to the top of the class? Like, you know, Oklahoma's a 2, Nebraska's a 3. I think you can make a case that it's a pretty big toss-up between those. Oklahoma gets to play a bunch of SEC teams and bump its schedule up that way.
Shoot, a week ago, Schaefer, I was comparing Oklahoma to Creighton.
Yeah, well, Oklahoma to Connecticut. I mean, Connecticut should be like, if anyone has a real issue today, it's Connecticut baseball just getting left out for Kentucky.
Yeah,
but that's ridiculous.
What's the other team that I
absolutely ridiculous.
He's nailed. Those are the two teams. I'm like, are we really? This is I wasn't honking for the Big East. I just was saying that it's a 2-bid league minimum. This was before the conference tournaments, and I go, are we really going to sit here and say that Kentucky and Oklahoma are better than UConn and Creighton? Like, I just didn't see it.
Yeah, well,
and I watched
it. In the eyes of the ranking committee, everything the SEC does in conference play is better than everything else in sports everywhere. Look at baseball, basketball, football, softball.
So this is why I always say the SEC is a Ponzi scheme. It is just built up upon itself. I had the same issue. I had a bigger problem with basketball just because I'm more into basketball, frankly. But they were like, was this the best basketball conference ever?
No.
So you do remember there were years where 3 Big 12 teams had a number 1 seed, or 3 ACC teams had number 1 seeds. And like, what are we even talking about here? Like,
there's a very obvious answer to all of this, right? It's the extremely tight tie of the ESPN and the SEC, and ESPN being the worldwide leader in conversation, that this sort of just gets funneled down your throat, regardless of whether you want it or not.
You almost made DB choke there first with the worldwide leader in conversation. You almost got him.
I mean, they're not the worldwide leader in sports anymore. They're the worldwide leader in takes. Like, that's what it is.
Oh.
They're a takes company that broadcasts sports and now wants you to gamble with them. Like, that's what ESPN is.
Schaefer, how
was your weekend, guys?
Good. Listen, I'm in a great mood, Schaefer.
But listen, baseball was fantastic, right? It's like death, taxes, and
you better not be talking Guardians, Dodgers.
No, not yet. I'm not. Listen, I can't.
He's like the least positive Dodgers fan ever.
Can't even say it to Schaefer because I'll get slaughtered. So I'm not gonna whine about the Dodgers.
Yeah, I don't know. Did you watch yesterday's game where Jose Ramirez is the only player on one team that's, you know, an all-star and a Hall of Famer? Meanwhile, Gavin Williams is trying to navigate through Mookie Betts and Freddie Freeman. First pitch of the game, Shohei Ohtani hits into the right field bleachers. Yoshinobu Yamamoto is just rolling through 5 innings before anyone can get a hit. Yeah, you have no reason for positivity. I can see why you'd be a little concerned right now. All of those guys on the IL and in your relief pitching, I mean, that's got to be a huge concern. Oh, wait, no, here's Tanner Scott coming in for the 8th inning.
Dave, we've lost 6 out of our last 10, man. It's
Don't worry, Shohei will be back on the bump by the All-Star break.
Swept us. It's tough out here, Mike J. I'm just telling you.
Well, you're coming to Cleveland at the right time. They can't hit anything, so I think you're going to be okay. Can you score 3 runs? You got a great shot at winning.
Are you? So I get Scooble, right? No problem there. But are you surprised that Detroit has extended on the magic that they captured in the second half of last season?
I think it's a little bit of a mirage. I don't think Javier Baez is coming back to 2016
Isn't that
form.
incredible?
I don't think you're getting 2017 Gleyber Torres for a full season. I don't know what a Zach McKinstry is, but I don't need to see him hit more home runs against Cleveland. You know, like they're kind of overperforming, but yeah, Derek Skubal is the best pitcher in the world. I mean, he's incredible. The rest of it, like Cleveland took 3 out of 4. I think they're pretty comparable teams. They have to win with defense and scoring just enough and everything else, but their hitters have been hot, and I don't think it's super sustainable what they're doing. Now, Riley Green, that guy's legit. Spencer Torkelson, he's legit. The rest of the role players all playing out of their mind at the perfect time. I don't know that I buy that.
Ferguson's bounce, but like his, it's been impressive overcoming some of those holes. You know what I mean? Like he's becoming pretty complete.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's first pick for a reason. You got to see him in Lincoln when they came with Hunter Bishop and It was a fun series.
Let me. Speaking of Nebraska baseball, is death taxes and Swanson and Brockett having postseasons to remember. Right? It's incredible when you think about it, isn't it?
I am just dumbfounded at how many players in the last couple of years have had like their signature moments inside that stadium in the Big Ten tournament. I mean, a couple friends in a group text were asking about Ty Horn before the game on Sunday, and I was like, he's pretty average to sometimes above, sometimes below average. Like, he's had one really good start, and it was against Maryland. Otherwise, it's been pretty up and down. He just comes out and throws 8 innings shutout against a regional host.
Yeah.
And he didn't even look.
Stump's getting shellacked, right?
Yeah, I mean, it was really surprising, and it just made me think of, like, we've seen Will Walsh do that. We've seen Jackson Brockett do that. Gabe Swanson should just live in that stadium. He should never play anywhere else. Josh Caron last year raised his draft status with what he did in the Big Ten tournament. Now you have Devin Nunez, who looks like he's going to be, a pest in that stadium going forward in future Big Ten games. Like, they are very comfortable playing there for whatever reason. I am shocked that they managed to pull that off. But it's not just that they won. Like, I'm not surprised that they were able to win the Big Ten. But they did it where they made Oregon and UCLA look so bad.
Yeah.
Like, Oregon looked like a horrible baseball team.
They four hit UCLA, and they shut down an Oregon offense that was as complete as any team in the top 12, I think, in the country offensively. Like, it was wild.
And other than Michigan State, the toughest game they played, like, that Penn State team is scrappy. Like, when Nebraska and Penn State play, like, they're a scrappy team. Like, I know it's 6-3, but they were right there putting pressure on Luke Broderick all the way up to the end. Luke Broderick, another name, is a bird literally just flew into my window.
I heard that.
Feathers.
Noise.
Feathers are flying up in the air.
Wow, that was the old funk.
Yeah. Anyway, back to Luke Broderick. I thought he could have been the MVP of the whole thing. I really did. I mean, 6 huge innings for you in big situations against Michigan State to keep the deficit where it was, to allow you to tie it up and to close out Penn State. I mean, he had a huge run in that tournament. It just a team that it felt like they underachieved every step of the way until it was time for them to really step up. And, they still owe a fruit basket to the Michigan State right fielder, but what a
winning is hard, man.
Yeah, well, no doubt.
I mean, Schaefer, I don't think I missed. Did we even mention Brockett in there?
Yeah, I think right at the beginning, but yeah,
Okay.
I mean, he was phenomenal. And I kind of wish that they would have pushed him a little bit more. I didn't love the pitching decisions. Here's me second guessing Nebraska as they win the Big Ten tournament, by the way. Stick around for Mike Schaefer's armchair baseball segment here. But
I'm just glad that you put out there that you were shocked by how they went about it, because
are you talking which game, Mike J? Oregon?
So for me, it was like I would have let Brockett continue to kind of go there. I don't know. I wanted Will Walsh to start one of those final 2 games.
I thought he would too.
Yeah.
And, they obviously picked it right each time. But for them to go Brockett, Will Walsh, I was pretty surprised by that. And then I was a little concerned they brought in Broderick too early against Penn State because I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure how you were getting by UCLA without your best bullpen arm. And then, Christo wasn't going to be available. And it was just a situation where everything just kind of worked perfectly. And when you get Ty Horn going 8 shutout innings, you don't have to worry about the rest of your pitching staff a whole lot. But, Saturday morning when they brought in Will Walsh, I was like, I don't really love this, because I would have liked to have seen him available for one of those 2 games, and it didn't matter. Like, every button Will Bolt basically pushed from like the 4th inning of Tuesday on was damn near perfect for Nebraska baseball. You got to give him a lot of credit.
Well, by the way, that Penn State game, but I'm just going to tell you, do you know off the top, roughly, I'll give you 8 pitches, combine what Christo and Broderick threw?
I think Christo was at 40 and Broderick was at like 52. I was in short right field, so I had a view of the pitch count there. Am I close?
Christo threw 44. Broderick threw 64.
Okay.
108 between the two. Like, they got stretched.
Yeah. No, well, I knew Christo wasn't going to be available. And then when they brought in Broderick in the 7th, you just knew, like, he's basically in until they get the final out. Like, you had that feeling. And so, again, props to those guys for being able to do it. Props to Will Bolt for having the belief in that, and Rob Childress too. I'm sure he's not making that decision without checking with Childress and how he feels about those arms. But it does make you feel better about Nebraska's chances in a regional. And I think North Carolina is a tough draw. But I think North Carolina is a tough draw, but I think getting Oklahoma, I think that's a winnable game on Friday. Like, if you set yourself up and, you get one of the big performances that you've gotten all year when you played Vanderbilt or Oregon State or UCLA or Oregon, I think they can potentially match up with North Carolina. And it's the regional is just about sneaking through.
It's not an offensive regional. Like, it's not bad.
Yeah. No, I think, unlike last year where it felt like they were pretty dead in the water when that got released, because I just don't think anybody wanted that Florida team. I think Nebraska has a better chance this year than last year. And I thought last year's team was significantly better than this year's. Certainly when you have Brett Sears starting a game, you feel better about that. But here we are.
And doing it all without McConaughey. Like,
yeah.
Oh, by the way. Schaefer, let me ask you something about, I want to get back to football here in these quarterbacks. If I gave you Arch Manning, Nussmeier, Lagway, Sellers, Mateer. Okay? Manning, Sellers, Mateer, Lagway, and Nussmeier. Would you take that 5? And I don't know who your 5th is in the Big Ten, so I'm going to let you fill it in. Over Aller, Altmaier, Mendoza. Who's more? I'm going to let him do. Who's 4-5 for you?
I would have Raiola in there.
Okay, so Dylan.
If you're putting in DJ Lagway, I feel confident that Raiola is going to be better than him. So.
Cue the madman over here. Okay, so Raiola, and give me the 5th.
Nico. I mean, is Nico the 5th?
Nico over Moore. Nico over.
I would say Nico over Moore for
over Sand.
I would lean towards yes. It's a weird scenario with him arriving in the summer for UCLA. Like, there's a way where that probably doesn't.
But we've seen him play power conference football before at a decently high level.
More than Mateer.
And more than Sand.
Okay.
Right, if you're going.
So Schaefer, would you which 5 would you take? From which conference?
I'm probably nuts, but my favorite quarterback in there is Drew Aller. Like, out of all of those guys,
you're not nuts. That's the correct answer.
So if you like why I asked, Schaefer? I'll let you expound. I apologize, but let me just tell you where I'm going, and then the floor is yours. I think it's interesting to roll the dice on getting a 5th team in from the SEC and not taking the money from the conference game, bargaining for an AQ, when your 5th team is going to have to be quarterbacked by probably one of the aforementioned. And a lot of those guys we don't know anything about, really. We're just banking on best case scenario. That's where this came from, kind of.
Well, I think it's overall a late year in terms of star power for college football. Like, this is sort of where guys are going to have an opportunity to kind of break out and make names for themselves. I mean, you have the names because they were names in the recruiting, or they're names because they're literal last name in the case of Arch Manning. But you don't really have quarterbacks that we have seen do it at a high level, or have, marquee moments or games. Like, you have Sellers in there, and he had a really nice run at the end of the year, but is that a guy that the average college football fan really knows much about at this point in time? So, and then John Mateer played at Washington State, and how many people actually watched the Washington State game?
Hey, listen, this guy next to me has carved through every game and will tell you he beat up on the Sisters of the Poor and was awful against everyone else. Just ask him. He has them at his fingertips. This dude is losing his mind over the quarterback projections this year.
He played 2 5 conference schools last year. He played 2 power conference schools last year.
Yeah, I mean, and so we'll see how it all kind of plays out. If I had to pick between those two sides, I am picking the Big Ten only because I have Drew Aller as the best quarterback in the country going into.
Well, Altmaier in that system's got to give you some comfort. He's pretty good in that.
Yeah,
He's
so
pretty good at
you're
Champlain.
not going to project Altmaier as far as like a draft pick, but in terms of being a college quarterback, I'd probably take him. It's either second after if I'm taking both conferences. I'm taking him either second just ahead of Nussmeier or third just behind Nussmeier. Like I think in terms of fit.
Can I give you a weird, it doesn't make sense from a physical standpoint, but it's just sort of the comfort that I have with them. Like Altmaier reminds me of a Trace McSorley. Like he's just a quality quarterback at the college level in the Big Ten that can do it with his legs, do it with his arms. You feel good late in games with him. He can kind of play in a variety. Now, the question I have is I really like Pat Bryant. Like I thought Pat Bryant was a big part of Illinois' success.
I think he was a reach in the draft, but he was certainly
he was really good for them.
He's really good for them.
I mean, I know he tore.
Do you know who the next Pat Bryant is going to be for Illinois? Because he kind of came through in big situations.
Like Ravi.
You know, our Illinois site does a really good job, and I follow Jeremy Warner on Twitter, and you would see these stats. I mean, Pat Bryant's like catch percentage when the ball was thrown his way. It was like one of the highest in all of college football. So that was like a safety belt that Altmaier had that they're going to have to replace. And he was really, really good. I think Pat Bryant's a really good college wide receiver. We'll see what it looks like in the pros, but I don't know that they have an immediate replacement for that.
Yeah, no, I would agree. And I think a big thing with me for Illinois, even though I do have Altmaier where I do, is I think they had their jump last year. Right. So I expect sort of a status quo situation where I think we're assuming like Illinois is a weird team because I think there's actually a lot there, but I think we're assuming a second jump the same way that we're assuming a first jump for some of these other teams, whether it's especially in the SEC, whether, you know, like with Lagway in Florida, I look at them and I just go, okay, that dude's numbers were identical to Dylan's last year. Florida and Nebraska, I know that it went differently in terms of how the season progressed. But basically ended up with identical records last year. Like, why is Florida and Lagway a darling and Nebraska and Raiola is an afterthought? Like, I looked at this list and I love you guys over at 24/7. And so that's the list that I used. I go, okay, Dylan is 6th in the conference on that list, which is fine, right? Okay, there's some unknowns in there. I get it. Yeah. But we've got lists where I've seen Lagway as number 2 in the country.
Clad had him at 7.
I've seen him at 7.
I mean, Bud Elliott put him at 1. I don't understand. You can disparage 24/7 sports lists. That's okay. I'm not.
No, I'm not even trying to disparage the list. I'm just saying.
I want you to. I disparage it. I don't think the lists are good.
I think his point is if Dylan's only 6th in the conference, how is Lagway top 5 in the country?
I have no idea. I don't know why Lagway would be in the top 10 in the country.
Like
40% of his yards came against Tulane and Samford.
Thank you.
People, like, when they talk about DJ Lagway, they talk about his big second half against LSU, and he completed, like, 6 passes, and one of them was a 5-yard pass that went for 65. Like, I just –
it doesn't mean he's not going to be good. Like, I think people need to hear that. Like, it's not bagging on Lagway his potential as much as we're taking some wild leaps.
Yeah, we're taking huge leaps of faith with him. That don't make sense.
The hill I am dying on all offseason, and even – towards the end of last year, I don't think nationally Dylan Raiola got enough credit for being the only true freshman quarterback in the power conferences to play every single game. Yep. To go through that week in and week out. Like, if you are someone, and I am famously on this show not, that believes that Nebraska is going to make a giant jump, some of that has to be predicated on the fact that Dylan Raiola went through all of that as a freshman and has all of that as banked experience. Mm-hmm. He doesn't have to go on his first road trip again. He doesn't have to go through his first go-around of power conference coordinators trying to trick him and confuse him and do different things. He is at a different level of his game than Arch Manning, DJ Lagway. You could argue John Mateer. Like, what he went through in the best football conference in the country last year does not get credit nationally. They look at the touchdowns, they look at the interceptions, they look at the middle of the year when Nebraska couldn't do anything, and that gets held against him. It doesn't get held against DJ Lagway, who only played in like 7 full games all of last year, because it doesn't have to be. And he had a great half against LSU, and he threw for 455 yards against Samford and blah, 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 blah. I just don't think people give enough credit for going through that experience and then just assuming that Arch Manning isn't going to have any pitfalls when he has to go through it for the first full time. Assuming that DJ Lagway picked up enough playing as a part-time quarterback last year that he's ready to make that jump. Some of the, like, we really are reductive when we make it seem like it's an easy position to just step in, go against great coaches every single week in the Big Ten and the SEC and be prepared for what they have. I mean, again, if you are buying Nebraska for 2025, a lot of it has to be predicated on the big jump that Dylan Raiola gets to make because he's gone through all of this before. There's really not a new experience. He played in the horseshoe. He's been in fourth quarter situations in the Coliseum. He's been in the fourth quarter situation in Memorial Stadium. Like, he knows and understands what this is. That is a huge boost, I think, for him going into year 2 that these other quarterbacks don't have.
A couple of but guys. Would you rather be Aller with James Franklin or Nussmeier with Kelly?
Aller Franklin.
It's amazing that we don't disparage Drew Aller, but for his numbers,
we don't give.
They should be better. I mean,
they're way good though. But he gets the ... And
but the problem is with Drew Aller, so much of it last year. Like, you take that USC game as an example. He had some good numbers in that game, but he threw like 22 passes to Tyler Warren, and the average depth of target wasn't downfield a whole lot. And so, like, some of it is was asked to dink and dunk a lot last year.
That's Altmaier.
And then you flip forward to that Big Ten championship game against Oregon, and he's just letting that arm rip. And you're like, oh my God, this guy has some legitimate. And I thought that when he was a high school recruit, he had great film. I mean, he absolutely can throw the ball, but then you would, like I said, you'd watch early season Penn State, and it didn't look like they were really turning him loose. And then against Oregon, he's just kind of out there playing, and you could see the big arm. And it feels like they didn't have enough high-quality wide receiver to kind of allow him to go that way, or he just fell in love with throwing to Tyler Warren so much that they weren't showcasing as much of what they could do on the offense. I felt like they had their, if they let Drew Aller play to his ability and open things up a little bit, I think people are going to be more impressed by him. But yeah, I mean, the numbers alone aren't that impressive. I'm going off of pedigree, what I liked about his film, what his actual physical talent. I think he is as talented as anybody in the country. I really do.
I'm not asking you to take a deep dive into South Carolina's offensive coordinator because Loggins has only been there, I think, 2 years. But for a Sellers kind of second-year OC there and a Raiola second-year kind of OC in Nebraska, would you rather be in Columbia or Lincoln?
I mean, I would rather Dana Holgorsen just in general. Like, and that's not
it. Just
not a lot of it's not a lot of disrespect to Sellers. I think if you look back, he had some big games against some light defenses in the SEC. He did, I think, tear up Oklahoma, so you got to give him a lot of credit for that. But I just don't know what to do with him. Like, I don't know that I believe that he's destined to repeat and build off of the last 5 games that he played at the end of the regular season last year. I just don't know that I'm there with Sellers the way that certainly Brad Crawford and some other guys at 24/7 Sports are. But some of that is I just don't know that I buy it. And then I go back to, I didn't watch a lot of South Carolina late. I think I watched the Illinois game.
They have a new
I watched him against LSU, and he was I believe thrown into a tough spot there in that game and performed as well as he could have. But that one's kind of a wait and see for me. Like, I'd have a tough time putting him in my top 10 quarterbacks.
But we're very comfortable with Sark and Manning.
Well, yeah, I think because Sark's history is what it is. And, I do wonder how we would feel about Arch Manning if his last name wasn't Manning. I think that carries a lot of weight in the whole discussion because we really haven't seen him a ton. And when we have seen him, he's been perfectly fine to acceptable. But it's not like he's blown anybody's socks off at this point. It's not like Quinn Ewers blew anybody's socks off. So maybe Texas is built in a way where if you get highly competent quarterback play, you're just going to be fine. You don't have to be a world beater.
Yeah, I do wonder. Do you think Manning is more dynamic than Ewers was?
We haven't. Excuse me. We have not seen a reason to believe that he necessarily is. I don't know that Ewers wasn't regarded as dynamic. I think Manning can move a little bit. I think he can throw off, off schedule, if you will. But I don't know that he's going to be a highlight machine. I don't know that. I just think he's going to play a comfortable quarterback spot.
I do think Texas is going to be really good again, though, obviously.
I just think they have a ton of talent. I mean, they've done a great job amassing talent on both sides of their line. Their defensive line was pretty much the reason they beat Arizona State at times in that playoff game. Their defensive line, I think, is going to be good again. They have athletes at all levels on the defense. They're not going to overwhelm teams, but they're just going to be better in a lot of aspects. Like I just think they have a very well-built program right now.
That's our guy, Mike Schaefer, Husker 24/7. Schaefer, appreciate the time. As always, good stuff.
All right, guys. Have a good one. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks, buddy.
We'll talk to you next week.
We're going to try to sandwich in. You talked about eating at the kiddie table and who should have some speaks. You might actually be right. I got some stats from my man Lance.
Okay.
And then we're going to pit it against the voting and what has to happen for the growth of this playoff deal in the 65%.
Yeah.
Big 12 may be in trouble.
I've also got Hunter brought up a question about why the SEC gets the benefit of the doubt. He brought up it's the SEC quarterback's success in the NFL. I'd like to get into that because I don't think that's true.
Hey, that's
DB.
The kiddie table. We'll see.
I'm Ravi Lulla. We'll be back. More Hurrdat Sports Live.
I think that is a huge part of it because really nobody on the roster had played in a regional before last year. Now these guys all have. And I think maybe even more important than that is the schedule that we've played this year. I think we're more prepared to go in a regional type setting this year. Not that our schedule was a cakewalk last year by any stretch, but by kind of just looking at the field in the top 8, we've played, 4 games against the top 8, won 3. So we're battle tested and we've seen a lot of really good arms. The run that we made through the tournament was just like a regional in my mind, just in terms of the ace pitching that we saw over the course of the 4 games.
Aspirations can drive us. Sometimes a simple gesture is what fuels the pursuit of a dream. When it's time to make your dream a reality, we are here to help. Centris Federal Credit Union. We are where you are.
You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Live.
Welcome back, Hurrdat Sports Live. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla. We talked a lot of college baseball this morning. Don't forget, college baseball championships are right around the corner. Skip the traffic when heading downtown. Take the winning ride with Metro Transit. Park for free at Westroads and take the Orbit straight downtown or the free ballpark bus that runs every 10 minutes between the Chuck and Dodge Street. And make sure after the game you hop right back on and get to wherever your car is parked. Make sure you game plan at ometro.com. All right, DB. We had a couple things I think we wanted to get to.
Yeah, my man LC, he's piecing together these graphics, and it's not necessarily. It's just kind of substantiating what we're talking about, right? Like who should have some speaks, who shouldn't have some speaks, and say so. And you dropped the kiddie table reference.
Yeah.
So we're looking at these conferences and national championships since the 50s, the 90s, and 2000s. Right, and you'll see one conference in particular as it sits, currently in last place.
It's rough. It's rough out here.
I mean, it is really, really rough with the Big 12.
Yeah.
Right, and the conference right above them, and this is even with Clemson and FSU
and having low runs,
and in the 2000s having some runs, still at the bottom too, with the ACC and the Big 12. Now this is funny too because he brings up a good point when he's talking about.
So I want to clarify real quick.
Go ahead.
So this is the conferences as they're currently affiliated, not the conference the championship was won in.
Correct.
Right. So like the SEC since 1950, they get the Oklahoma national championships in there.
Yeah.
The Big Ten gets Nebraska's, right? So
correct. Yes.
So just want to make sure we understand that there. This is where they are now, not where they are when they won.
And Lance says, he goes, the real fight with the new A4 governance proposal is for each sport the NCAA rolled out last week. The current proposal says that there needs to be 68% approval for any rule changes. 68% approval.
Yeah.
Okay.
A little more than 2/3.
The SEC, the Big Ten, and I think the ACC are pushing for a 65% vote for approval, which we know. This is kind of what Sankey's been alluding to. Well, why?
Because they can get that without the Big 12.
Correct. At 68%, the Big 12 could essentially block any proposal they don't like with a super veto at the football level. At 65%,
they cannot.
If the Big Ten, the SEC, and the ACC approve, they don't need the Big 12, right? People scream that would be unfair for the people scream that that's unfair for the Big 12. He said reality. You don't let the kiddie table determine what the true players of national championship pedigrees do.
Because
he's just lending credence to the discussion.
Because at a certain point, Big 12 is just going to have to be happy to be there. That
is wild.
But look at the Big 12 conference.
No,
you know what I mean?
But hear my heart. I understand.
Like, I think so. Part of me.
That's a great job by my man.
No, that was awesome.
Thank you,
and appreciate that. Like part of the problem, I think, when we have
Rico, you better make us bigger because Sasha will not be happy if you keep us small. I like us small. Sasha will have my head.
Like part of this whole thing is.
Thank you. I do not want her
my initial thoughts when I go, okay, the Big 12 is it takes me a minute to remember the Big 12 looks a lot like the AAC did not that long ago in terms of who's actually in it. You know what I mean? Like, and so
been really, really good for basketball. Not as not as good.
You're talking about a mix between AAC, Pac-12, and the Big 12 teams nobody wanted. Right? And so you sit here and you go, okay, I get that they feel like they're still part of the big boys because in basketball they are. But you look at it in football and you go, okay, what exactly are you bringing me? What is it Arizona State? Is that the best you have to offer? Because it was last year. Is it BYU maybe? Because that was near the top. And I like BYU, right? But we're talking about a different thing when we're talking about Arizona State and BYU and Iowa State and Kansas State than we are if we're talking about Ohio State, Michigan, Penn State, USC, Oregon. Like those are different conversations between Alabama, Georgia, Texas, Oklahoma, LSU. Like that's a different conversation between those three. I would even argue it's a different conversation than Clemson, Florida State, Miami. And all three of those teams haven't been good at the same time since all three of them have been in the conference, right? But I would argue that's a very different conversation still. So you sit here and you go, okay, at a certain point, that's why the ACC is going to be on board. The ACC is going to be on board because they are I think they recognize more that they're lucky to be alive after all the litigation with Clemson and Florida State.
Mm-hmm.
The Big 12 is going to have to just be happy to be there.
BYU top 25?
I think so. I like BYU.
Iowa State top 25?
Yes.
Arizona State top 25?
Yes.
SMU top 25?
Yes.
Kansas State top 25?
Yes.
I mean,
ask me top 10 though.
I don't think maybe BYU.
So that's the difference. Very solid conference. But that's the difference.
Ohio State.
Yep.
Top 10.
Yep. Penn State.
Texas top 10.
Yep.
Penn State top 10.
Yep.
Clemson top 10.
Yeah.
Gets a little loose.
Oregon
top 10.
Yeah.
LSU top 10.
Close. Georgia top 10.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the difference.
Huh.
Right? I don't mind that.
Let me ask you something.
I actually like the Big 12 conference, but not for the conversation we're having.
Is South Carolina preseason top 10?
They should not be. They might be. Like we do this every year. There's a team.
It's kind of my
There's
point.
A team every year that we get enamored with the quarterback and kind of like we sort of did this with Ole Miss last year. Right? We're like, oh, we like the quarterback situation. We like Jackson Dart. We like all the transfers they brought in. And then they were kind of just what Ole Miss always is. Pretty good. That's about it. We get enamored with a lot of the transfers and then a quarterback that we like. And this happens every single year. And I think South Carolina could be that team this year that we get a little too enamored with a quarterback that we fell in love with and transfers that we really like.
And I forgot that Dow got hired. He upgraded in South Carolina. So Shula moves in.
Yeah, Shula got promoted to.
Do you count him as a first-year guy?
First-year play caller, yeah. I get he's been in the system, so it's not a huge change for Sellers, but I do think the play calling is different. You know, like that's not as seamless as it is in other situations. You know, I'll take my chances with Nussmeier over that. I'll take my chances with Arch over that. I would even take my chances with, as much as I think it's close between him and Mateer, because at least Mateer is keeping an offensive coordinator. But I think you're making assumptions with both.
I do think Schaefer hit the nail on the head, though.
With what?
It may be a little bit of as an elite year.
Lack of star power.
So you could have a lot more volatility.
I also think we're grasping at people because of that.
Maybe there's room for an Avery
Johnson. Yeah, maybe.
Or back, or somebody.
Yeah, back to Iowa State is the one that I kind of look at. I'm a little iffy on Avery Johnson.
Me too.
I'm not.
Me too. But a lot of the same traits we're talking about with Lags and Sellers.
Speaking of quarterbacks, real quick, let's talk about quarterback alumni, because Hunter brought up the reason that the SEC gets the benefit of the doubt is,
and we do got to get to Eddie.
Yep, is that so we'll do this quick. Is that it's because the SEC has more successful quarterbacks in the NFL. Name me like 5 of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, real quick.
None of them are in the SEC.
No, none of them are in the SEC.
Yeah, I know.
You've got like 7, I think. Quick tally. You've got like 7 of them.
Depends on where you put Hurts, and he ended up at Oklahoma.
Yeah. And he played in the Big 12, so I'm not counting that.
Yeah.
But some of the guys that we're talking about that are SEC are like Will Levis and Spencer Rattler and Drew Lock as your starters. Otherwise, you get to like 4 or 5 pretty quick, and none of the guys that we care about. None of them. So, they're getting drafted. You get your Bryce Youngs, you're getting drafted, but most of the guys that we actually care about,
aren't
not playing SEC football.
Upper echelon.
Not playing SEC football. Just something to think about when we're going through this, because I think we have this perception that SEC quarterbacks do better in the NFL. There's some good ones, don't get me wrong, but none of the guys that you care about.
When I'm
outside of Joe Burrow,
I'm interested in our off-season topics. I think we're having a good off-season show.
I agree.
I'm biased, though.
Outside of,
because I have something else I want to do for the rest of the week now.
Outside of Joe Burrow, I'm not taking any of those SEC guys.
You're going to be like, huh.
And guess where Joe Burrow started? The Big Ten.
Correct.
Eddie Garcia coming up next. Talk a little hockey here on Hurrdat Sports Live.
I mean, honestly, I said this on TV, but I couldn't even get a word out in the huddle because my 3-4-year guys, Joey, Jeter, and Troy, just ran the whole huddle. And they said, it's time to go. It's time to lock in. They talked about what the Driffle kid had on the mound. And they just said they've come too far and they've worked too hard to to go down like that. So Lewis drew the walk, and Tanner with the greatest bunt in the history of East baseball, and then Troy got a fastball and he didn't miss it, and you know, Joey drove him in. So that's an inning I'll remember for the rest of my life, because it was a bunch of old guys doing old guy things, and we're so blessed they're on our side.
You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Live.
Welcome back, Hurrdat Sports Live. That's DBM Ravi Lulla here at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill. We are joined now by Eddie Garcia. He is the co-host of the Puck Podcast and does Locked On Podcast for the LA Kings as well. What's up, Eddie?
Hey guys, how are you?
Eddie, how are we? I'm going to start this a little off topic, but we have some folks in here. I have a lot of Toronto ties. So let me just ask you, on the heels of Shanahan being let go and another you're a hockey guy. You get it. 3-1. It's notorious. Game 7s, the Leafs. Were you surprised about Shanny and like Berube versus what moves they actually had to make for this team? How'd you feel about what they did with Brendan Shanahan?
I wasn't surprised. He had been there for 11 years.
Yeah.
He did oversee a rebuild. He was part of the group that got the core four together, with Matthews and Marner and Nylander and Tavares. And, it's one of those things where it just kind of ran its course. I don't know that it's necessarily his fault or, that you blame him more than you blame anyone else. But, 11 years is a pretty long time. And, probably both sides could use a change. I was not surprised by it.
What do you think's next for them?
Well, I think Mitch Marner's gone. We'll see about John Tavares, but it's one of those situations that you see in sports where the team's good and they're good enough to make the playoffs. And they'll try, it's that whole thing where you're not going to just blow it up. I mean, they won the division, they won the Atlantic Division this year, right? So it's not going to be major changes, but they're going to try to tweak this and that, and maybe a little bit of bad luck in what happened with Anthony Stolarz, their number one goalie. Not saying he's the greatest goalie in the world, but they lose him early on a kind of a controversial play, and. They got to go to their number two, and I'm not saying it's all Joseph Woll's fault, but you lose in a game 7 and you don't have your number one goalie. Maybe if he's there, maybe they win. Probably not, because it's the Leafs, but it's one of those, like I said, it's one of those things where you're a good team. You're not going to make major changes, although I guess you could say Mitch Marner.
You just thought Eminem, like Matthew, you just thought that pair would have something more to show forth in this conversation we're having on May 27th.
Yeah.
And 2025.
Matthews was clearly not right. But at the end of the day, nobody cares. You're out there playing, you're going to be held responsible for your performance, but he wasn't what he needs to be. So they'll make tweaks. I don't know that they're going to make any major changes, but they're definitely going to have to make some tweaks. And Marner, I think, is gone. He's in this opportunity that he'll never get being again at his age, the chance to be the highest paid player in the NHL, maybe.
Yeah.
The salary cap going up, he's going to get a boatload of money, and he'd be crazy not to take it. And you guys know as well as I do, when it's all said and done, the money talks, and some team's probably going to offer him $16 million of the year, and he's going to be like, yeah, I'll take that. And maybe he needs – I know he likes Toronto. I know he does. I think in his heart he would like to stay there, but maybe he needs a change too. I mean, he hasn't come up, big at all in these big games, so maybe he needs to go somewhere else, and it's better for everybody.
So, Eddie, speaking of needing a change, I got to ask, because, you're talking about going from a number one goalie to a number two goalie. What do you do when you go from a number one goalie in the regular season and that guy turns into a number two goalie in the postseason, the way Hellebuyck does with the Jets? Like, what do they do there? This is like, is the sample size large enough now that they're like, hey, like this just doesn't work in the postseason? Like, what do you do there?
Well, they signed him to 8 years, so
just eat it. Like, you just got to deal with it.
I mean, unless he comes to you and says, I want out, it's not working here, we both need a change, then yeah, I mean, they decided, they were going to sign him, and I get it. I mean, he's a great regular season goalie, but yeah, I mean,
like, it's kind of uncomfortable to watch at this point.
Well, it's no worse than like Harden and some of these guys. It is uncanny. Somebody dropped a Hellebuyck Lamar Jackson reference on me. I was like, oh boy, it's getting bad.
I saw a thing on social media. It was Austin Matthews wearing a Joel Embiid jersey, which was very, very awkward and kind of funny. But yeah, no, I mean, you just keep going with it. I don't know what other choice you have. You made the decision to sign into the long-term extension, and you're now married to him, for better or worse. So buckle up and get him a sports psychologist and see what happens.
Maybe a witch doctor too. Like, I don't know, they got to do something.
Try anything.
Prolonging the inevitable or enough championship DNA for the Carolina Hurricanes?
Oh, I think it's just prolonging the inevitable. But Florida's kind of a weird team for all the experience that they've had. Probably about to go to their third straight Stanley Cup. They kind of play with their food.
Yep,
they eat it a little bit.
They do, man.
I mean, in the finals last year, I mean, they had the Oilers 3-0 and let them get back to a Game 7. They won it, so nobody cares. But that was, that could have been a historic collapse that, we're not even mentioning. Well, I guess I am mentioning it, but I mean, Toronto, they let them win that Game 6. They go to a Game 7, although they won Game 7 pretty easily. So I don't see Carolina. Carolina's not as good as Toronto. I love how scrappy they are, and their team above whatever. But hockey is very much a team sport, as you guys know. But you still need that alpha. You need somebody that you can lean on in key moments. And I like Sebastian Aho a lot as a player, but he's just not that guy. And they desperately tried to get a guy like that. They tried with Mikko Rantanen. It didn't work out. They probably should have asked him, hey, do you want to play here before you make a trade for him? But I think they'll go hard after Mitch Marner in the offseason. They're a market that is desperate to get an alpha. And I don't know if Mitch Marner is that, to be honest with you, but they're going to try. They need that guy, and they just don't have it. So I think it's prolonging the inevitable, but yeah, like I said, Florida's kind of a weird team a little bit like that.
This is, granted, it's unconventional, and they're doing it in a way in which I didn't see when we picked them. But you and I, we were kind of kindred spirits with the Stars still alive, although they ran into a buzzsaw the other night. But, I mean, this has got a chance to be a really, really good series with the Stars and the Oilers, right?
Well, they got to win tonight, though.
Yeah, yep.
I mean, it's not nearly as desperate as the Hurricane situation. If they win tonight, then buckle up. But if they don't, then I think they're done.
How do they slow Draisaitl down?
Well, to me, it's more about McDavid, to be honest with you.
Well, he's playing. He's a given.
Yeah.
He's just going to do his thing.
Well, I guess you didn't ask that question because it's not possible. Draisaitl is a moose, though, man. Like, seriously.
They
that
can't
guy,
get him off the puck.
No, he is just so. He's a wide body. I mean, just try and stay with him. Just try and. I mean, he's not the fastest guy in the world, so you can stay with him, but you're not going to get him off the puck. Just try and keep him from being in a dangerous area where he gets the puck and he puts it in. But I love the NHL and I love the playoffs, and it's just so. I was just thinking about this the other day. It is so hard to predict. It's so different from the regular season.
Yeah.
It's just. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say that I get my picks right all that often, but my final four, only one of them made it out of the first round. I mean, sometimes it's so unpredictable. You're just kind of like, what was the regular season for? You know, it doesn't tell you much of anything. It's such a different season. Crazy. It's crazy. But that's what also makes it very intriguing as well, that it's not predictable. It's not like, a lot of times in the NBA playoffs, I'll be honest with you, I have not followed the NBA playoffs this year, so maybe it's, but I think that in the NBA, you usually don't get a lot of upsets, right? Usually it's the teams that you think is going to
especially in the first round, right? It's almost boring.
Yeah. So it is both maddening and intriguing, the NHL playoffs sometimes.
This isn't the same Dallas Stars team that you thought playing-wise when you picked them in the preseason, though. Like, credit to how they've kind of gotten back healthy and piecing this thing together. Are they better than a pieced-together team at this point?
I just don't understand how their depth isn't coming through more. And I know injuries are always a part. Like, Jason Robertson clearly is not healthy. He's not even close to being the guy that we've seen in the past. But they've got so much depth, and I just thought that would shine through. And Edmonton isn't a very deep team, and yet, guys like Ryan Nugent-Hopkins suddenly are contributing and making plays. And
I'm surprised they've held up physically. Like they've gotten to skate pretty freely in the neutral zone, which that can't happen if you want to slow these guys down.
I don't know. The Oilers are a team that I just can't figure out, especially, they've got two, they're like a football team that's got two mediocre quarterbacks and they both play and they still keep winning. And you're like, I know they've got an elite, the elite player, but even Connor McDavid is not, he hasn't gone crazy. It's not like he is leading in points. He's getting a ton of assists, but, it's not like he's leading in goals or even close, really. Stuart Skinner, that guy. I mean, he gets blown out in the first two games. He loses his starting job, and you're like, okay. And then through injury, replacing another journeyman, he gets back in, and then he throws, two shutouts, and then he'll have one goal in his last game. And you're like, that doesn't make any sense. That shouldn't happen, but it is, and I can't figure these guys out. Maybe they're just way better than I thought, and again, I get it. They've got the best player in the world, but that typically doesn't mean you're just, automatically going to be a good team. I just didn't think they had a whole lot of depth. I didn't think their defense was very good. I didn't think their goalie, the goaltending isn't good, but it's getting the job done. So I can't figure that team out.
That's our guy, Eddie Garcia. Eddie, appreciate the time. Enjoy the rest of the playoffs here, and I'm sure we'll check in again soon.
Yeah, and here I am saying it's unpredictable, and we may have a rematch in the Stanley Cup.
But that rematch would have been unpredictable at the start of it,
and it's the windy road too. Wow, yeah, I'm with you.
All right, guys, take care.
Thanks, Eddie.
Appreciate the time as always. That's Eddie Garcia. Make sure you check out the Puck Podcast or Locked On LA Kings podcast as well.
Where has Mikko been, by the way?
He better show up.
He's got to show up.
Yeah.
Because he's been, he's
offensively,
had an assist and a point and stuff, but not like he was 5 games ago, though.
Listen, they got to win along the boards. They're letting a pretty team like Edmonton
skate a little too free.
Yes.
Yeah. That's the kind of style I like.
Yeah, they're gonna have to get back to where they touch those guys along the boards. And it gets physical like they did Colorado.
Whether it's basketball or hockey, I like that freedom of movement.
Yeah,
but it's hard to get either in the playoffs.
Dude, McDavid he's incredible.
It's a whole other deal.
He is really.
I mean,
and
I don't know a lot.
I don't
know a lot about hockey. I know that guy's pretty good.
They can't touch him. Can't get any gloves on him.
That is the show for Tuesday.
We birthed a new segment coming up later on this week, though.
Yeah, so we're going to give you a little tease here. We're going to deep dive into the other conferences, Big 12 and ACC quarterbacks tomorrow, and then later on in the week, going to get to a little quarterback draft here.
And will the draft lead to who we like as teams in the country?
That's going to be interesting to see. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla. We'll be back more Hurrdat Sports Live tomorrow.
See you. Have a good day. Love you.